This episode of PTG is brought to you by HK Army and all of my paintball teams out there. It is time to take your game to the next level. Get laced up for the 2025 season with the HK Army sponsorship package, your ultimate gateway to custom gear, elite equipment, and unparalleled exposure. Stand out on the field with custom designed jerseys and gear featuring your team's branding alongside the iconic HK Army logo. Your team's style with our innovation. Boost your brand's exposure and get featured across HK Army's massive social platforms, reaching millions of fans worldwide. Be a part of the conversation in the paintball community with HK Army. Get access to the elite gear, high-performance markers, cutting-edge protection, paintballs, and the latest technology to help your team dominate the competition. Join a vibrant community of top-tier teams and players. Connect, share experiences, and participate in exclusive HK Army events. This is more than a sponsorship. It is truly a family. Don't wait. Sign up your team right now at hkarmy.com/sponsorship and gear up for the 2025 paintball season. HK Army, lace up, stand out, dominate. Go to hkarmy.com/sponsorship to get your team signed up right now. This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram, @LoneWolfPB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We just got back from the NXL Tampa where Paintball Fit went undefeated yet again to win the first event of the 2025 season. So this episode, we have none other than Trenton Mason, the finals MVP, an absolute standout player and somebody who dominated all weekend long. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
What's going on, everybody? 292 in the house, PTG. We are back right off of the tail end of being out in Tampa Bay, and we have one of the integral parts of making that championship happen for Paintball Fit with us right now, and we can't wait to dive into that. He is an absolute certified killer, joining us, one of the key pieces behind, the run that Fit has been on since World Cup, and you play with immense heart, precision, and a never say die attitude as you press down the field and help the squad win in those big moments. Absolute force on the field, rising star in the game, and we are stoked to have you on the show. Welcome, Trenton Mason, everybody, to PTG.
Yeah. Let's go.
What's going on, Trent?
What's going on? I appreciate the intro, Tyler.
Yeah, brother.
Dude.
Hey, when you do the work, you do the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Ty's been crushing those, and congrats also on not just the win, but event MVP. You really played lights out on Sunday, saved a lot of, had a lot of big moments that could have turned momentum in some of these matches. So really excited to kind of dive in and talk about that as well. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate that, Marcelo. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, there was multiple MVPs on the squad. You guys are running definitely a tight-knit ship. You can see that the work is being applied. So we're excited to have you here to connect with the whole paintball community and kind of give everybody, an idea of what it takes in order to accomplish the missions that you guys have been able to accomplish, because it's not easy and it takes a lot of layers. There's so many layers from obviously, pit crew, managerial, the team, the mindset, the work ethic. So very excited to have you on the show to dive into that. But before we do, kind of let the people know where you're at, where you're tuning in from, and how it's been for you for the last, 48 hours. I'm sure you're on cloud 9.
He's at the field right now. He lives at the field. All these guys live at the field. That's the secret.
I'm just at the office in the field. That's where I'm at right now. But no, I tuning in from Italy, Texas. It's just south of Waxahachie, where Paintball Fit's out of.
Yeah.
It's just a little old town, but tuning in from there. Feeling obviously great coming from Tampa and stuff like that. I was really proud of how everybody stepped up, and especially, losing Colt during practice on that Thursday coming into the event. Just the people that even good big shout out to Jacob Seaball, who we just picked up this year. He comes in, he's got a lot of big shoes to fill, and he did. I felt like he played really, really well in all of those matches, and he arose to the occasion, especially on Sunday.
Yes,
So,
he absolutely did.
Good.
Yeah, and that's a really hard thing to do. It's one thing to be able to play well in the prelims, but when the lights get bright and you're trying to make a deep Sunday run, to be poised in those moments and step in kind of last minute like that is definitely impressive. I think it also speaks volumes to the type of culture you guys obviously have built, being a new pro team. But, I think a lot of people, maybe they do realize, they have to understand now, especially if they watch the documentaries, but you guys are a winning organization. You guys won 5 semi-pro events in a row. That is not easy. I don't care who you're playing against. So many things have to go your way to win an event. So to win all 5, you guys just kind of have that in the DNA, and that is from top to bottom, So for a player to be able to come in and basically be a starter on Sunday and play well is a really difficult and almost unheard of thing to do,
Right. No, and I agree with that 100%. And it's just it's a lot of things. It's funny too, because you preach this a lot on the show, Marcelo, and I don't think a lot of people listen to it because you're the only one preaching it. So they always try to ignore you sometimes. But it's learning how to win. That's the key thing is learning how to win. And it's not going up divisions and playing really high and then hoping for the best. You need to go, if you're D5, you need to play D5, and you have to learn how to win D5. Because yes, the secret is learning how to win in D5 is the same as learning how to win in pro. No, I'm not saying D5 and pro are the same thing, but the key difference is the learning how to win. Because guess what? There's 99% of paintball players out there have never won in their life. And some of them are jumping through ranks and still not learning how to win. You can't, you're taking your legs out from under you. You've got to learn those key factors. And that the key is just to learn how to win and to be successful. And that starts from the ground up. You can't just jump ship and then think you're going to just all of a sudden win all these events in a row. That's how we started. We started where we didn't know, we're getting our shit kicked in all the time, right? We didn't know how to win, but we started in D4, go to D3, right? We skipped a little bit of D2 because of COVID, semi-pro, right? And all of those ranks, we learned how to win and going through those things. So it helps learn and harden that process. And also it creates a culture and an environment for those players. So all of these people listening to the show, that is the key is you have to create an organization together that understands what it takes, what happens in those big moments, and how to win those big moments.
Yeah, you couldn't be more correct, man. It's something that I preach, not just on the show, but any of the kids that I coach or the teams that I coach. There were a couple seasons where Wrecking Crew wanted to skip D2. They wanted to go straight to semi-pro. I was like, why? No, learn how to win throughout the divisions. Go to Division 2, win that division, then bump up. It pays dividends. Learning how to rise to the occasion, like you said, in the big moments, in the finals, when you're on the pro field, there's something that can't be taught there, unless you actually experience it. So you have to experience it.
100%.
Yeah, let's kind of unpack some of those contributing factors that would help, an organization maybe in the divisionals or even in the pro learn how to win, or what are the hurdles that you need to overcome when it comes to clenching the trophy at the end of the day. There's going to be, you're obviously going to wake up on Sunday morning and you're going to have to play some hard fought battles throughout that day. And to understand how to navigate that kind of timeline also is a huge contributing factor of how you're going to end up at the end of the day, standing there at 5 p.m. with the trophy.
Right. And I think it starts with, you just got to humble yourself, but understand to be realistic with everything in life. Because I work with a lot of divisionals here at Paintball Fit, divisional players, divisional teams and stuff like that. And I talk to a lot of people, and the most thing that everybody wants to say is man, I just don't have a lot of time. So I want to go play. I want to go play D2. I want to go play semi-pro. I'm like, man, you're really cutting yourself short, because what needs to happen is you need to humble yourself and understand, hey, I've only put so much time into it, and you're only going to get what time you put into it. So like, hey, I can only play a Sunday every month. Well, don't go play semi-pro, because playing one Sunday every month is not going to cut out for you, right? You have to
That's
be
right.
playing a lot of paintball, because this is a sport. This is a professional sport, right? You have to get good at something, so you have to be doing that a lot. You can't just not put the time into it. And yes, so like that's one thing, is putting in practice, but then another thing is understanding, hey, I've got to go in here, I've got to play these things. We're going to lose a lot. That it just is. You're going to lose way more tournaments than you will ever win. And I'm just saying that, like, I've won a lot of tournaments, but I have lost way more than I have ever won.
For sure.
And so instead of focusing on just the winning thing, you understand you're going to lose, and you're going to lose a lot. But understanding, okay, we lost in this situation because of this. The communication was bad. I had no idea this guy did this. I had no idea this was going on in the field. Breaking down those little minor situations as a collective, as a team, but also personally, saying, man, if I would have just said this to say if I would have said this just to Chavi, and he could have just looked this way, we catch that guy coming through the center. Hey, if I would have told him, hey, this guy, I didn't see this guy go out. I don't know where this guy is. He doesn't get the lucky shot on Chavi and be able to turn the field. It's like simple things like that in the game that break down. But you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to reflect on it. But the biggest thing is, don't focus on that solely forever, because then you get stuck in that downward spiral of, oh man, I'm doing this bad, I'm doing this bad, I'm doing this bad. You got to build yourself up internally. You got to have that confidence, and then you have to play the gray area of confidence and arrogance. You don't want to go too arrogant, but you need to have the confidence. You need to tell yourself, I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to put that work in, and I'm going to go win. But I need to fix these things before I can go win. And as long as you like, as a divisional player and as a team, is doing that and having those conversations, but then also having it with your teammates. So that way, sometimes, like how I learn is, like, me and Scott Stewart are big proponents of this. I'll start talking to Scott about it, and like, hey, I really think I need to do this, this, and this more. And he goes, man, I was really thinking the same thing, but I need to work on this. And I'm like, well, I feel like you need to work on this too, right? It's just like those conversations need to happen to then elevate the entire team. You're not just trying to elevate yourself. This is a team sport. This isn't a one-on-one sport. This is a 5-on-5 sport.
That's right.
No matter how good I am, if the other 4 players aren't playing up to where they can be, I'm never going to win. And that just is what it is. So, and I also feel like that's how most players are viewing it, is like, man, if I just get really, really good at paintball, I'm going to win. That's not correct. The team you are on, if they get good, you are going to win. And then guess what? When your players are really good around you, you get to look even better if you're really good, because they're doing all the right jobs. So then it allows you to look even better.
Bingo.
That's some of the best advice ever shared on this show right there, that you all just heard straight from a champion, straight from a champion. And it is uncomfortable and it's difficult. These conversations are not easy, but anything good in life that you're trying to attain is not going to be easy. You're going to have to get into the uncomfortability and thrive in that. And it's through those kinds of conversations that you can build whatever you're looking to build, be it in business, family, relationship, paintball. You've got to work through the bulk of these conversations and be realistic and be humbled and be grateful and be open to growth. If you're not, then we will never win. And that's encapsulated kind of what you just said there, but it is so true, man. Absolutely true.
Yeah. And just to kind of add to that, actually, it's one of those things where once you do win, it kind of becomes a snowball effect. I want to talk to you about that as well, because obviously winning World Cup, I mean, I've said it, Tyler said it, since you guys did win World Cup, that is not a fluke. For all the people that did say that, I see you guys online. I know you guys take a lot of that, and bring it into your team meetings and use it as some fuel. But the people that said that just don't understand how hard it is to win a professional paintball tournament, and especially the World Cup. Once you get a taste of something like that, the snowball effect is massive, because again, you guys have now relearned how to win in the pro division, and that's really dangerous, right? Like, you guys obviously knew how to win, but as you were talking about it, as you work your way up through the ranks, once you get that first win in that new division, it's like, okay, now that belief is there. You know that the process that you've been going through is working. You believe in each other. You believe in yourselves. You know, when you're in those moments that you can overcome being down bodies, down points in the finals. You guys started out 0-2. I think it was, I could be wrong about this. I didn't watch all of your guys' games from the event, but I feel like you guys had a lead most of the matches, at least on Sunday.
Correct.
And you know, you guys were able to come back against Dynasty and in also a new format. I want to talk to you about that as well, the finals format. But learning how to win in each division it unlocks a whole new thing. And people often say that you learn so much more from losing than you do winning. And I actually don't totally agree with that. I believe that you learn equal, if not more, from winning, because not only is it the more rare thing to have happen, like everybody learns from losing. Like you said, you lose way more than you win. It's rare that you actually do get to win. So once you do, the what you learn from that win is so transcendent into everything you do. Like when you bring it back to your practices, your team meetings are different. Everything is different. And you learn all the right things you did along the way. You can replicate that. You can build on that. You can add to it. You're now in control, and you can kind of, other people are trying to play catch up while you're creating new ways to win, you know? So it's a really important part of it.
No, and I agree. And like, and to touch on that too, is like what you're talking about is like, it creates this little thing. And the little thing is that it's the changing from the arrogance to the confidence, because you have to go in with a little bit of arrogance. And no, I'm not saying I'm going to walk in here and say I'm the best fucking paintball player there is, and that's me. No, that's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say, I have put in the work, and I know I'm going to do this, and I know I'm going to connect the shot. And even if shit's going south, I know I'm going to be able to win. But then when you do win, it's now turning that, what you're telling yourself, into real life. That it's going to fruition. And that's what's creating that confidence, and that resides into yourself. And that's, I think, the biggest thing, especially for divisional players. And like you're saying, is like when you're going through the ranks, you have to tell yourself that you're going to win, because if you're not telling yourself you're going to win, then what the hell are you doing this for? You've got to tell yourself, you got to come in there, and you have to understand, like, I'm going to do this no matter who you're playing, no matter. People focus on all the other silly things. Focus on yourself and your team. Make sure everybody's doing what you talked about wanting to accomplish. And as long as you're doing that, you're going to win. And that's just is what it is. But it's the biggest thing is just turning those little things into confidence. And then the next step is to not let that confidence try to ride you off to get distracted somewhere else. And then you fall apart because something doesn't go your way. And now all of a sudden your confidence breaks, and you're building your house on sand, right? You got to.
No, I agree. I think it's funny when you hear players talk about being the best, or they say that they're the best, or, you know, if you ask someone who they think the best is and they say themselves. To me, that's so interesting. You know, for me, I don't know if I'm the best, and I will never say that I'm the best. But when I step on the field, as long as, you know, my preparation is where I want it to be and all of that, I genuinely believe that I can be the best on that day. Right. And I think that's what you're talking about, the difference between arrogance and confidence. If you've done the work and you've put in the time and you have the experience, you can truly believe that, and it will allow you to play to your full potential. Right. But just arrogantly speaking yourself into this conversation as the best is not the way to get the results that you think you're going to get. And you see it in all sports too, right? You'll see wide receivers that are, you know, pretty kind of bombastic about how good they are, this and that. And it's like all kind of talk. At the end of the day, let's look at the stats. You know, are you actually what you're saying you are? You know? And it's it's a fine line, like you said, of understanding that. But certainly when I step onto the field, I absolutely believe that I can be the best in that match, in a point, you know, on that Sunday. I believe that pretty much every single Sunday, or every single time I'm at the field, you know, and at the end of the day, the results will show you either lived up to it or you didn't, you know. It's very simple.
Right. And
yeah.
You got to always also, like, you've got to understand, like, like I was saying, the next step too is, like, if shit doesn't go your way, because it's not going to go your way all the time, that's the next step is, and that's how you build those structures, especially for divisionals who haven't had a whole lot of success, is you've got to understand to push past it and understand the process of what you're doing is what is going to create the success over time. and just constantly and confidently walking through. And that doesn't just apply to paintball. That applies to life. That applies to everything you do. If you're not telling yourself you can accomplish things, you're never going to accomplish things. If you're not putting in the work to accomplish things, you're never going to accomplish things. You've got to do it, and you've got to tell yourself, and you've got to believe it. And then as soon as you put all of those things in there, that is a powerful thing, and that is how you are able to go through life. And no, you may not be the most successful person, you may not make billions and billions of dollars, but you're going to live life how you want to live life. And as long as you're doing that, you're okay and you're happy.
That's it right there, man. And I want to kind of dive into these principles that you're talking about, because there's someone within your organization that's spearheading these principles. Where is this all stemming from? Where did this ideology, this passion, and where is it all coming from for Paintball Fit to have this kind of collective culture? Because there's a root somewhere, right?
Right. It comes from all of us collectively, because like I'm the cousin of the three brothers, the three Lucaus. And so like we grew up together, and then obviously our dad is the main spearhead of everything. He instilled that confidence and that willingness to work hard and accomplish things you do, because that's just how we grew up. We didn't have a whole lot of money. And so what we wanted to do, even when we built the field Paintball Fit, we didn't have any money. We were like, hey, we're going to go into some like severe debt here, but we're going to really try to make this thing work. And that's because that's what we want to do. And so when we did it, and that's just,
you're following your heart. Yeah. You're
right.
Following your passion.
And it's like, and it starts with our dad, right? Our mom and dad. I'm not going to take anything away from my mom either. Sarah Lucal is the secret sauce to everything behind the scenes, and nobody knows it, or nobody gives her any kind of credit, but she does pretty much everything.
she's got her credit here now on PTG. And thank you to everybody out there who supported PTG. We just won the Creator of the Year out there in Tampa as well. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Sarah, for, cultivating what's going on out there in Texas.
No, yeah. And it started with them. And then the people that are constantly pushing those behind the scenes, like confidence and everything, is Johnny Lucal, which is the oldest brother of everybody. And like, he doesn't play as much as he would like, but he also understands his role in the thing, where he's an amazing player. He's one of our best players, but he really took a step back and said, hey, if we want to have a continued success in these higher ranks, I've got to take a step back and really help everybody else grow and create this culture and all of these players to grow into what we need them to grow into. Because if I'm here playing, I can't work on all of these other things, and I don't see all the details that I need to be seeing. And so like, a big shout out to Johnny, because dude's a fucking monster on the field. Now, sure, he gets injured a couple of times, but he's a fucking monster on the field, and I really wish he'd play more. But he has a very important role in not only the business of Paintball Fit and Hydra, but for the team and everybody. He's the reason why Jonathan Chavez is the way Jonathan Chavez is on the field. He's the reason why Colt Lucal is the way Colt Lucal is on the field. He's the reason why I have the confidence in me to do the things I do on the field. He is a big part of it, and he's constantly just taking the same principles our dad taught us and just really instilling it on everybody on the field.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love it, dude. A family organization like that with, built from the ground up. Again, it was while we were still off the air, but I was saying it's funny when we do the podcast, we kind of put the podcast hat on. It's completely different than who I am with Impact and Tyler, and when we're trying to compete. And it's like, I'm such a fan of you guys. I don't know how anybody could not be a fan of Paintball Fit. I first went out to the field, I think it was 2020, like during the COVID year, to do a clinic. And that was when, my first exposure to the park. And I left blown away at the hospitality, the community, the way things were run, the team. I forget what division you guys were then. I think 3, maybe. Were you guys in Division 3 back then?
If it was 2020, I think we had just gone to D2, but it was the COVID year, so we only got to play 2 tournaments. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so like, just to kind of see it really blossom from where it started is, again, incredibly impressive. And you guys haven't, I think you've made like 2 pickups this off season, but before that, you guys have kind of been the same group for how long?
Man, ever since D4. So I want to say that was 2018. Yeah. I'm terrible with the years, but yeah.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it was our D4 season, and then we picked up Chavi halfway through our. So here, I'll give a recap so it'll and stuff like that. So that way I'm not just sifting through
Cool.
timelines.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so D4 we started as Paintball Fit. We were originally Apex Predators, local league, and we were playing as Johnny, Brody, Colt, and myself. Then the AC program was around. They were playing the NXLs and like the National League stuff. So then Johnny went to go play with the Diesel guys, playing on as their D2 line, because at the time me and Colt weren't there. We had just started playing paintball. We just kind of weren't at that level yet. And then we came to the conversation of like, hey, let's start our own NXL team. And we started it with me, Colt, and Brody playing but Johnny couldn't fit points wise to play D4. So we go and play D4 and then a couple of the guys that were all like old school AC guys that lived in Nebraska. We kind of played with those, Bart, Derek, Chris, shout out to those guys. So we started with those guys playing D4, won our events in D4. As we went to D3, kind of like the shift changed. The Nebraska guys can't play paintball anymore. Hey, they just couldn't commit to the time. They were driving to practices, driving to the events, and they're like, hey, we're starting families. We have like one of them had established families, and they're like, just the time it takes, we just can't commit to it. And we understood it fully. So then we go out and we start trying to find bodies, and for D3, and then that's when we pull one of the other Nebraska guys. His name was James, and shout out to Jimmy. I call him Jimmy, but
Let's go, Jimmy.
shout out to James. He was played D3 with us that whole year and a little bit of D2, and that's when Johnny was able to come play back with us because of points wise he could fit. So then Johnny played with us fully the D3 season, and then go to D2 season. We only have 2 events. Kind of some body shift in there. And then also we picked up Chavi in our D3 season. I think it was like halfway through the year. I think the Philly event, we couldn't, there was a couple of the guys that couldn't make it. We were scrambling for players, and we've been longtime friends with Chavi. We've played, we grew up playing video games together. But he lived in Austin at the time, so he wasn't close. And then finally it was just like, hey man, and we played local leagues together, and we're like, hey, you want to play with us nationally? Like, you want to come do this with us? And he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So that's started with our D3 season. And then after that, we haven't changed from there. We picked up Jacob Johnson as well in our D3 season, and he's been with us ever since. And, but yeah, it started there, going to D2 and then semi-pro. And then, but yeah, the same core has been there since D3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's such an important thing because on-field chemistry is crucial to success. I can't preach that enough. Just understanding, in certain situations when one of your teammates wants to do something because of that situation. So you almost don't even need to communicate it. You both are acting it in real time. It makes the communication that much easier. It makes everything that much easier. On-field chemistry is crucial. That's why even the pro teams, they'll say like, if you're going to pick up a player in an off season, you usually want to just pick up 1 or 2, keep the core of the group together and kind of slowly build. Such a important part. And for like if you're in the D5, D4, D3 kind of range, you do want to align yourself with a team that is of like-minded individuals. Otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time wasting time. Right. So,
Yeah.
if your goal is to, work your way up to semi-pro or pro, you need to make sure that the group you're around all has not just the same goal, but their actions align with that goal too. Otherwise you're going to waste, year after year kind of bouncing around, trying to find a home, trying to find, the right situation. And you're not really going to be in position to have as much success as a team like you guys. Even Wrecking Crew, they've kept a pretty good core together, but they've had a bit of turnover as well. And it makes it a little harder, we do a pretty good job of making sure that, we pick up players that fit in. Like that's a huge part of, I think, any sort of pickup. You can't just pick up a player based on talent. They have to fit in with the personality, the culture, what type of a human are they? That kind of stuff really matters. And you guys are obviously just living that example.
No, yeah, you constantly that's a big part too, Marcelo, is like the two things you talked about is like one, you have to have the conversations with your teammates and you have to be open about it. Cause like work with a lot of divisional teams and players here at Fit. And the biggest thing, especially with these new teams, is like a lot of people will say, yeah, I want to play all the time and I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to win all these tournaments and I want to do all this, spend the time. And then when it starts coming to it, they're like, there's one excuse, there's two excuses. Oh, I can't make it to this weekend. Oh, I can't make it to this weekend. And then all of a sudden, they're only there for one weekend out of the month. And while the rest of like three guys, there's other three guys that are there every single weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. And like, so that's what I always try to preach to everybody is like, hey man, just don't lie about it. It's okay to not be able to afford to, or like to like spend the time to play paintball. Like it's okay. That's what's great about paintball. There's so many facets of paintball that you can go there only once a month and then you can go play a local league and just have fun. Like there's so many, like even at Paintball Fit, we have a tournament almost every weekend, almost at our field pretty much. And then it's all wide range of things. We've got 7-mans, we've got the Glow Mechs, we have Mech X Balls, we have our champions and challengers leagues and stuff like that. And all of those are completely different facets of the game. And you don't have to play a lot to have fun and play those and be competitive. Now, yes, if you want to win and you want to keep doing it, yeah, you got to put the time in to do that. But you got to don't lie to your teammates about it. That's the biggest thing. And like, and don't have your egos not be able to tell another grown man, hey, I can't afford this or I can't do this. You got to check your ego and you got to tell them like, hey man, I just can't. Like that just is what it is. Like I can't do this. I would love to, but I can't. And like, and as long as everybody can have those conversations across the board, and like you said, if you can find 4 or 5 guys, you start with 5, and then you can trickle in the rest of them. But if you can find 5 guys that want to be there every single weekend, that's the first step to success. And I always will preach that to everybody. And I'm glad you say it too. Is it's like you have to have that conversation with people, and you have to find those individuals that want to keep trying. Because as long as you have 5 individuals that wants to be there every single weekend and practice and get better, you're only going to get better and you're only going to start seeing success. Now, yeah, it's going to take a while, but you're still going to see success out of it. Right. And like, that is such a huge thing in paintball in general. It's just, you just got to be more honest, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everybody, like you said, they got to buy in. Everybody's got to be bought in and be open and be honest about what we're trying to accomplish. And we talk about that pretty often from the get-go. If you're starting a team, you have an unwritten contract that everybody signs into. You know, we've all made this agreement. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. If you can't do it, that's fine. Be honest with us. Let us know before we jump into this whole thing and get this steamboat rolling. But I want to jump into Sunday. Let's unpack your Sunday, man. What an amazing day for Paintball Fit. Let's start from the beginning and let's roll through it all the way into that finals match you played with Dynasty.
Okay, yeah. So we started. We knew that we were going to play either Uprising or X Factor. So we were sitting there watching those matches, talking back and forth. We felt pretty confident we were going to play well against either of those guys. Uprising came back and just stole it from X Factor, and they've just been playing. They were playing lights out. Nate was just playing phenomenal the whole event. The real sleeper cell was Arnold over there on the Dorito side. And so we pull those guys, and I know we knew that kind of how they wanted to do it. And dude, I'll even admit, Graham Arnold had my number that whole match. I was actually the first guy dead that whole match. I mean, other than that, I shot a couple of guys on the break, so that obviously helps. But the Graham just phenomenal job of putting a lot of pressure on me in the back center. Had just fucking phenomenal 1-balls going out, like when he was feeling out to one side. But
he's a great player.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. I love those guys. Those guys are all solid dudes.
So
great we pulled those guys. I know the score doesn't show it, but every single one of those points is real close. And like it just any moment they win one of those points, the whole momentum shifts. And so like they're really, really on the cusp. I really like what they're doing, and they're kind of buying into the same system kind of we implement too. So like
Yeah.
it's really cool to see more stories like that. So it's just a great thing to see from that.
We need those types of things happening all over the country and the world. These pockets just blowing up with paintball.
Right. And then so then we played them, beat them, and then we pulled man, my mind just went blank. Who the hell did we play next?
I think it was us. I think it was us after that.
Yeah.
We could just fast forward through this portion.
Yeah.
We go right to the finals.
No, so we pull you guys. That's right, because you guys played Diesel. Had a good match against Diesel. I really liked the way you guys were playing. Diesel was playing fantastic. They're looking really strong this year.
They've been working hard for sure.
Yeah, some minor hiccups for them. A couple penalties kind of fucked them on that one, but it's not.
That's kind of been their MO too, right? Like that's an organization that I think they're finding their identity. They obviously have a ton of talent. They have some really good players, and they have that confidence that you're talking about. But I think they have not, found the line of where that confidence bleeds into a little bit of arrogance, and I think that's where some of the penalties tend to come from. But yeah, Diesel is definitely on their way. They're a threat to win an event, 100%. They've been playing really well.
No, I think the entire league, the top 10 teams, when you really look at it that Sunday and you look at all of the names and like kind of how everybody's playing, you really reel back and you go, wow. I feel like the league, like growing up, I've only been in paintball for about 10 years. So growing up, I've kind of followed the pro league and stuff like that. And I always felt like there's a drastic difference. There was like the top 6 teams. And then after that, it was just really, it was a hardcore watered down, and no offense to any of those guys, but it was just, there was elite experienced players. And then no one could just match that, because whenever it came down to experience, the experienced teams would win because they knew the situations, and a lot of people couldn't rise to the occasion. So this, like, as we're coming into it, like this year, I really feel like this is the closest it's ever going to be. I think the whole season is just going to be a lot of really close games and a lot of fun paintball to watch in general. Just as a fan of paintball, you get to see all of these different games, and it's not like you don't look at one side of the bracket and go, well, these guys are just going to kick the shit out of those guys and go to the finals. So let's watch this side of the bracket instead. Watch these games. It's like every single one of them. You look at the semifinals, look at every single one of the names that are on there, and you go, wow, these guys should all be playing in the finals right now. And to go back to what we were talking about, we pulled you guys in the semis after you guys beat Diesel. Really good game there. Playing you guys, we knew kind of the ideology that you guys play. We felt like you guys were playing the best on the layout out of everyone. So that, it really shows it in our game. It was so close. Literally just 1 point and just one move away from it going the other way. You guys were playing fantastic. I couldn't fucking shoot Tyler to save my life. Filling out drove me nuts. God damn, it drove me nuts. I think I yelled what the fuck 3 times.
There were so many times where I would see your paint literally coming right at me, and I would just duck. Like, I'm talking hairline shots where I'm like, oh my God.
I watched it. I literally go, what the fuck? I was so upset.
Me too. I was saying the same thing. Oh God.
I a couple of times I connected on the shot for Brandon Cornell off the break, and I was like holding that zone, and like, as you know, that zone's just massive. So I pump it, and like sometimes it was like a bad timing on my part. I would start to try to put a little bit more paint on you, and that's when you would flash, and I go, God. It was so upsetting because I had set it up, and you did a really good job of like playing over there, and so did Brandon and all of that. And it's just, everybody was playing good. We knew that Stanzek was really finding his way in his own into the in the center. We knew that if we'd let him impose his will in there, it was going to be a drastically different game. And it showed, right? In all of the games, like even the Dynasty and Russian match, Blake Yarber just eating them alive and just letting him just purely impose his will in that game, and them not adjusting to him in there is just letting him just shine in there. And we all know Blake's a fucking monster on the field. He's one of my best friends, and I'll say that all day long. Like,
me too.
I'm still gonna beat him when I play him, but
he's one of the best.
But dude, he is a fucking monster on the field. And so just letting any kind of player like that just be able to do what they want is is really dangerous. And so like we knew we had to adjust for that a little bit, knew that he wanted to be up there, and kind of like how he wanted to play it. But going forward, I enjoyed that match, and I'm not taking anything away from Dynasty because obviously the score showed it. The format helped a little bit with us discussing a little bit more, and we'll get into that once we talk about them. But
Yep.
Man, our game was so much closer, and unfortunately, even I don't understand quite the brackets of how we even matched up in the semifinals. But
I know, being the 1 and 2 seed.
Yeah, I won't
either.
talk about that one. But I don't ask those kind of questions. I just play paintball. But
that's right.
But it was definitely the finals game that we probably should have had, and I feel like even with the format, I think our points would have been higher, but still closer, and like it would have just been a back and forth thing. And then I think it'll be like that all year long. We're all going to play each other. We're possibly keep playing each other in the semis in the finals. Hopefully the finals more times than not. So
that's right, dude.
Yeah. Real quick before we dive into the finals, I do want to kind of touch on. So my opinion is the meta the last like 5 years, at least with Dynasty and keys to our success on that team, it was a pretty dynamic style of play where not afraid to take risks, willing to lose bodies on the break as long as we still kind of get in a good position, want to keep the other team guessing. You guys are kind of changing the meta again back to what it was maybe, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, to where I think you guys ran the same play every single time. Maybe you like shot a different gap, but you guys were in basically the 5 same spots for majority of the event. Now, that's one of those things where if you don't connect on those shots on the break, and you were connecting on that Dorito side shot more than anybody in the league, if you're not connecting on those shots on the break, it doesn't usually work as well. But talk to me about your guys' like dedication to that style, because I thought you guys actually got out of it at World Cup. I felt at World Cup, you guys kind of showed a different version of yourselves. You were pretty dynamic, had a nice attack up the middle. You guys were willing to risk going to the snake. And I was like, oh, damn, Paintball Fit is really dangerous. Like I thought that played a big piece in your guys' win at Cup. Now this field, it did call for a little more pocket. It was a little more difficult to get out. But like, how do you guys have those discussions and decide that that's how you want to play and implement that?
It's a lot of like you said, it's just super layout dependent, because that's the greatest thing about paintball is it's not the same format. So it's not like football where the field is the same. It's not like the NBA where the court's the same. It's every single event is a completely different, almost different game, because
100%.
And a lot of people don't understand that, but it is a completely different and drastic game, and it calls for to play it one way or the other. And like, so we'll always have like a blanket, hey, we want to kind of do this, and then we'll always see how successful we can do those things. And then we'll always have reads if, hey, this doesn't do well or something like that. We will be able to address it and change it. But if it's being successful, there's not really much to change unless we see something on the other side of the field that we want to be able to, oh, they're doing this, so we can actually capitalize on it more. And so like, unfortunately, this layout was, hey, you're just going to have to play the same 5 spots, and you're just going to have to kind of do these jobs. Now it's not a fantastic difference in the game where you can do a whole bunch of different stuff, because there wasn't very many options on the field, because I felt like so many different bunkers could pick up on you on the break if you wanted to try to do something crazy like that. Now, yeah, it probably would be successful, but you're talking about statistic wise, one guy hits the shot, just like,
yeah,
right. There's a time and place for it, but if they're doing, it's fully dependent on what the other team is doing. And if they're showing, and what they're kind of like their average of what they're showing is always doing it, you kind of know what your answer is before you want to try something. So like that, and that's kind of how we just addressed it. Just like, unfortunately, at World Cup, which was great, is because there was options to kind of do a lot more. And that's why you kind of saw that different play. Like, I know we're always known to do the same thing over and over and over, but the problem is it's like, you kind of have to play the layout. And unfortunately, if the layout is like that, you kind of have to play that to be able to win, right? And to be successful in it, because we know, hey, we have to do X, Y, and Z. You can kind of try to do craziness, but it's such a different variable. And it's like, if they're not showing you different things that you can actually get away with it, it's just, there's no point in giving them a point just because you wanted to try something. You know what I mean? And the pro league is so close that you give people 1 point. That is the difference. I mean, hell, look at our match. 1 point is the difference. And
Yeah.
So, and it, like, hell, the one-on-one, if fucking Stanzak, if I don't connect with Stanzak and he connects with me only, that's a different game, right?
That was Zach Yakimak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, not Stanzak.
Yeah. Gosh,
Yeah.
that was a huge point. I mean, you completely saved that point too. I was so bummed. We shoot Chavi going to that Dorito side temple. Then we lose 2 bodies over there, and I filled out wide. And the timing of your guys' fill, I didn't realize that you got to the tape. I thought you were still in that temple, but it was your back center that had moved. And so then there was still another back center. We shoot him, and you just came, out to the tape and smoked me. And we had a 3-on-2 at that point. So like, that's actually one of those turning points that I was talking about, which is why I think you were deserving of the MVP. Because if we, it changes everything. If we tie the game there, kind of steal momentum. Now, we get to, play with a little bit of confidence with what there was like a minute 20, something like that left, or
right.
something like that, and those are the points that I feel really good about. I love when it's like a tie game towards the end and you're not sure if either team's going to go for the win or play for overtime. And you have an opportunity to steal a point. But that was just such a big move by you. And you kind of did it all Sunday. You did it a bunch in the dynasty match. You would just slip out undetected and go on the attack over there. And your timing was, impeccable.
Yeah. That's why I like Chavi dying, because then I can shine and do a little bit more. It's really hard when you have a Jonathan Chavez and everybody's always focused on that guy, and he's always just fucking murdering people. So when he's dead, I actually get to go play paintball a little bit more.
You could tell him to run a little slower to those bunkers. I'll make sure to shoot him for you so you can shine a little more.
Hey man, he's so tiny. It's so hard to shoot that guy. That guy's the most frustrating person to shoot at on the break. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, totally.
I practice against him all the time. I give him the finger up, I think, every point.
Do you guys run drills against yourselves, or do you have like a semi-pro team to do those kind of like off the break stuff?
So we normally will play ourselves. So like we have 9 dudes. So we just pick up one of the divisional guys. It just depends on who's there at the field. If we can, if like our semi-pro guys, which is Shut Up We're Trying, if they're there, we'll play them. If they're not there or they only have a couple, then we'll pull them on. We just make sure that we can play 5-on-5 paintball, just playing paintball. And it's a lot of it is just like playing ourselves, being honest and being like, hey, and like, but just being hard on ourselves. Like,
sure,
I'll go through and, say I go through, I dunk on 4 dudes. I literally am yelling at them like, dude, you let me do this. Like is this reason and this reason is why you let me do this. It's not like I'm not going back and being like, yeah, I fucked those guys up. I'm like, you did this and this is why you guys are like, this is why we lost. And I'm not being a dick. Like, yeah, look at me. I just fucked you guys up. But I'm like, it's to change what happens. Right. And like to be 100%. Honest with them. And I think that's crucial for anybody in paintball. And like all of the divisional players that are listening to this, like that is a big key, is like being open with your players. No, not being an asshole about it, but also keeping everybody in check. You're constantly needing to grow and constantly needing to grow together, because like I said before, it's a team sport. So.
And it's only going to make you better by doing that. Now you're sharpening them up. They're going to play a better version when you step back out onto the field, and you're going to have to navigate that and play even above that now that they've fixed those deficiencies, and it's going to create a better player out of you as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's how we address practices and stuff like that. And that's just kind of how we go about it. We feel like that's a better version of it, and like working with ourselves, because like you said, we're only getting each other better. So
yeah, so let's go into that final game, because you kind of spoke on basically, if it's not broke, don't fix it, as far as playing the pocket on that field. You guys did go down 2-0 against Dynasty, and it didn't seem like you changed much as far as the strategy. So what was like that conversation like? Just let's start hitting our shots, or did you change micro details of which gaps you're shooting? How did you guys in the pits decide how you're going to kind of shift things and onto comeback?
And I'm not going to take it away from Dynasty, and I'm never going to take it away, because I do like those guys. They're a really important, integral part to paintball. And so I'm never going to say like, oh, we just needed to play better. But it was like, but that was kind of the answer for us in the pits, is like the reason why they went up 2 wasn't because they were just bullying us. It was because like one guy looks another way than when he's not supposed to be looking that way. One guy engages with a guy you're just not supposed to be engaging with. We know the guy is going to be here, and then we die to this guy being there. And like those silly mistakes are what caused those 2 points to drop. And it was
Not
just
the
like,
breakout.
yeah,
High level assessment.
And it's like just because like the breakout is the breakout. Some teams are going to lose the breakout and some teams are going to win the breakout, but it's in the point is what really matters. The breakout is just the breakout. That's only the first 10 seconds of the game. What happened after that? And so like the biggest thing is like just adjusting and everybody mentally adjusting what they needed to fix, and like everybody having that conversation, like Colt, especially Colt being able to, I mean, unfortunately he was injured, so he's on the sidelines, but he's able to be like, hey, like he sees it all and he's like, hey, why are you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? And like constantly nipping those things in the butt. And Johnny Lukow also just like, he goes straight to the players. You need to be doing this. Like, this is what is called for in this situation. They're here. You need to be doing this. And so like a lot of it was just fine tuning and making sure everybody's back on the same plane of thought of like, okay, this is what we need to do. And understanding, like I said before, just like instilling that confidence. If we do what we talked about doing, getting our X, Y's, and Z's done, we won't lose. And so like, when we're no stranger to going down points, it all happens all the time. It's just sometimes maybe nerves, or sometimes it's just, and they are playing good. Like the Dynasty guys were playing fantastic. And, but we felt like, once they kind of showed their hand of what they were wanting to do, and we knew kind of what their ideology on how the field was going to break down and how they wanted to do it. And then, of course, it also helped that I was connecting on off the break more times than not on the Dorito side. So, like, obviously that helps, but that's not what won us to the event or anything by any means. But it was just adjusting to those things. And then going into it, we tie work. We were fine with, we even talked about it. We're going to hit the clock at 5 seconds. That way we get an extra timeout out of it. Kind of get a breather. Obviously, we have the 8-minute halftime because of the format, but we kind of were like, hey, we're cool with not playing any points. They tallied it, which in turn shows their hand what they're wanting to do. If they're going to tally it with, I think it was like 55 seconds left. Yeah, that shows they want to come still a point, right? They want to see it. They want to roll the dice and see what they can get out of it. And like, obviously, if they can't do it, they're just going to try to stalemate the game. But there's enough time to win the point, but also to stalemate the point. So then we went out and we're like, okay, well, let's try to stalemate their point. They already showed their hand of what they're going to do. So they're going to run to far spots. Let's make sure to shoot those guys on the break, in which we did. And then we were able to steal that fifth point from them, trying to steal it from us per se.
Right.
And I think that was actually a big, crucial momentum swing in the match in general, is when a team tiles it and they have their huddle and they go, okay, well, we're going to go try to steal this point, and then the other team takes it away from you. For lack of better words, it's like getting kicked in the nuts. So
it is, man. It is.
And so just trying to compartmentalize that in the middle of the match is a lot harder, and only the elites can probably go back and perform that. And I'm not saying obviously Dynasty is elite. They fucking have won more tournaments than anybody, but a lot of that mental strain kind of gets you out of your flow. And so I think
it was exciting. I loved that there was the halftime, because it added that extra excitement going into halftime. You probably wouldn't see that kind of a play out in those situations if it was the end of the game, So we got to have that excitement going into halftime, which I thought was really cool.
Right. And that was really cool. I actually enjoyed the format, and I'm only speaking it because it just gave me more time to breathe, assess, talk, and like, it gives you a lot more time to strategize. It gives you a lot more time to have those conversations of like, hey, I want to do this. Hey, we need to do this. Hey, this is what they're doing. Because in true X-ball, in a normal format, if that was the game and it was going down to those seconds, the tempo and everybody's heart rate and everything else is elevated. So those conversations aren't being had correctly. And it's just like, hey, we need to do this. And there's not the, oh, well, what about trying to do this? People aren't thinking about, hey, what about this? They're like, hey, we just need to do this. And that's just human nature, right? If your heart rate's elevated, you're in the flow of the game, you're wanting to try to accomplish something in the game. It's a lot harder to do that when you only got a minute to go back onto the field versus they gave us 2 minutes in between points and then 8 minutes in the halftime. So being able to talk about that and breathe, that's the biggest thing too, is just keeping your heart rate down but stable, not like down to where you're sluggish, but down to where you can actually think clearly, especially for somebody like me who's plays a little bit back and is taking more of the control role of the game. It helps me put dots together, being like, hey, I'm looking across, that guy's not doing what he needs to be doing, saying, hey, do this, hey, get on this zone, get on this job, hey, we need to go win over here, this guy's not even playing you, what are we doing, let's go win, right? And like those conversations are much easier to have when obviously you're a little bit more rested. So
thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support with the PTG show. If you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program and connect with like-minded, hungry paintball players, then head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of the PTG World Discord chat room. And now back to the show. Yeah. Do you do any types of meditations or breathing techniques or anything that helps to like either in the game or in your free time that help to really resonate you and get you aligned for paintball?
So it's funny because I'm I'm kind of weird about it, but I'll focus on my heart rate, which is, I know it sounds weird to say, but I'll only focus on my actual heart rate. And sometimes you'll see me doing this in the pits and I'm counting the beats. But what happens is like when I'm focusing on that, I'm actually calming myself down because I'm zoning everything else out. And it's kind of like a type of meditation. It works for me. It may not work for anybody else, but it helps me because you're focusing on one specific thing and it kind of zones all of the chaos of everything else out. And so like a lot of people will be like, come up to me like, are you okay? Because I'm like doing this. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
He's checking his own pulse. For everybody listening out there, he's got his fingers on his neck, like, getting a read on everything. No, you're right, man. You got to zone in.
Yeah, and it's so important to stay calm in those big moments. And it's like a fine line of, obviously, like you said, not being sluggish. You definitely need to have the ability to be sharp, and there's some form of adrenaline that's associated with that. But as soon as you lose control of your mind, you're toast out there. You're completely useless to your team, no matter what position you play. But especially as a 2 or a 3, where you're supposed to be quarterbacking the situation and making sure everyone's doing the right jobs. And you got to be aware of so many different things: the score, the clock, the time, body count, this, that, where our advantage is. Love that you said that part. It's a lot to keep control of. And if you're not in control of your mind, then you have no chance of doing that effectively.
100%.
You guys were the bounce masters as well out there on the field. In the final point, you shot 3 of us, from what I understand, off of bounce shots, leaving only 2 of us there to play
bounce shots are crucial.
I think it was a 2-on-4 or maybe 2-on-5. I think you guys have all 5.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part about that layout is it was really fun until there was just that many bounce shots. And like I enjoy games where there's not as many, and there's not as many that kill all of the spots that are cool to play or like the important spots on the field. So like, and anytime you kind of put clusters of bunkers like that really close together, everything is dangerous over there because so many things just accidentally bouncing it into you. Like, you know what I mean? Half the time you're not even doing it on purpose. And that's what we kind of, and sometimes we even like found those as we were playing, where like all of a sudden 2 guys die and we go, who the fuck even shot you? Yeah. And then, we look back into it and we're like, well, that's a really dumb one, but hey, it works. So this just is what it is. And like, that's just how paintball is. If it's there, you use it, and just,
that's right.
Bounce shots are not unfortunately, it just is a part of the game, but
it is. Yeah. So I got to ask.
I love bounce shots, but yeah, I absolutely love them.
I rip the piss out of them. I'm the one that shot them, by the way.
When you guys go to the tournament, do you guys still have people who can like go to the field and say, hey, we're looking at this. Does this bounce shot work? Is it that intricate to where you're diving in and still having people working at the field maybe while you guys are at the tournament, helping you guys build that picture?
So we don't have anybody at the tournament because unfortunately we don't have as many people. So it's like we move the village. So we
Yeah, we got to talk about
there.
that too, because all the teams that go to PB Fit, they all go to the tournaments, and that's why you have such a huge crowd base as well. It's
Correct.
all the teams.
Yeah, everybody that's out there in the stands, they're all playing the NXL. So it's not like we're just flying a bunch of people out here. They all play the NXLs, and like we push them to play as many events as they possibly can, because that is the key to success as well, is just playing tournaments in general.
Yeah, dude, I got to say, major love to the Texas scene. It is absolutely thriving. California has always been the mecca of paintball, but it's safe to say that Texas has definitely secured that spot. There's so much paintball going on right now out there, and the community is just thriving. And it's to do with your area, obviously the Houston, Dallas, all of these huge hubs.
X Factor. Yeah.
X Factor.
Best team in the world right now is based out of Texas. Texas is booming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then a lot of it is like you said, it's the culture. And I feel like I'm not going to take anything away from Alex has always been there at X Factor. He's a great human being, right? We all know
the best.
He's the best, and he runs such a well field out there in San Antonio. They're 4 hours away from us. So like the scene up here and towards the north side of Texas is kind of like I'm gonna attribute it to my dad, JD, because like before we even started the field, the scene wasn't anywhere how it was. It was just people would come out on a Sunday and shoot a case of paint, and that was about it. And like they would only play maybe 5 points, 6 points, 7 points. It was unheard of to play more than that, or even to shoot 2 cases a day of paint. It was such a crazy like ideology of things, and they would only play on Sundays. Nobody would play Saturdays and stuff like that. And JD kind of brought that professionalism in with the guys and with us, and like because JD played before on Apex Predators, and Johnny and JD and Brody were actually playing divisionals before me and Colt ever started playing. That's kind of how it grew. But JD kind of got the scene and understood how things needed to be, because he was a player of paintball. So like he knew what players needed to have a facility, and like what the facility needed to be able to create players and actually create a legitimized sport out of it. And that's kind of the key of what we wanted to do. And I'll always attribute it to JD, and then of course Johnny Lukauto as well, because JD and Johnny are two of the same. They're both head and head. They run everything pretty much. And so like obviously me, Colt, Brody help, and we're the workers and all of that and stuff, but it's really Johnny and JD are the spearheads of everything. And they were the reason why Texas paintball has been this way. And I know some people in Texas are probably going to be upset with me saying that, but like, I mean, honestly, it's the truth. And no, I'm not just saying that because they're my dad and my brother. Like Texas wasn't really a thing 10 years ago, if you really think back at it. And then 10 years ago, we started the field, and we kind of cultivated that culture and that environment, and it kind of just spread like wildfire. And then about how Texas paintball is becoming the mecca of paintball and all of this stuff. And I honestly I'm only going to attribute it to JD. Now, obviously Alex and the San Antonio guys, they did a great job. They have a great facility, and all of the fields in Texas, they do their part in paintball. But I just felt like JD just really went above and beyond to really get more people playing paintball.
It takes
for
a
sure.
tribe. Yeah.
But it's all of it, right? It's all of it. Like when Southern California was considered the mecca, it was because there were multiple top professional teams. There were multiple, massive fields. It's kind of all of it together is what makes it so great, and Texas has all of it. There's like 3 or 4 pretty big and successful fields out there that really do a great job of providing a good experience. We talk about that often. And that was something I was so impressed with at Paintball Fit was you go and the experience is good. Like, even just the little things like free waters and snacks and stuff like that, where you might be paying $100 to play for the day, but it feels like the people there care about you. That's the type of experience that keeps you wanting to come back. Right. It's
100%.
Yeah, it's so important. And yeah, Texas is absolutely dominating. Even Anthony now teaming up with the Houston field. So all the, like, you know, the Team USA stuff is now in Texas rather than before it was in Boston. The tryouts will be there at the end of this month. But yeah, I mean, Texas is a shining light right now for paintball. That's absolutely a fact.
And I think it's, you're going to see more of it across, and it's not just going to be Texas, it's going to be across the US. You see fields, and as long as they adopt that culture, like you're talking about Marcelo, as long as they adopt that, will have success, and you'll see your region grow. And that's really the key, because like I feel like sometimes there's fields that open and maybe they run things a little bit differently, and it just rubs people the wrong way, or they don't have that experience like you're talking about that wants to come back. You've got to create the experience that makes people want to come back to play paintball, because unfortunately, as it is, paintball is a very expensive sport to play sometimes, right? Especially for people who may not come from a lot of money or have a high paying job. They're just getting by, living paycheck to paycheck. So these people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're spending that little bit of extra money income that they have on paintball, and that's all their income. They need to have a good experience to want to keep coming back, because it's so easy for them to go, well, why the hell am I spending money on this when I can be doing this?
Without a doubt. Yeah.
You've got to reel them in. You've got to keep them there by, one, showing them the game of paintball, because paintball in general, as soon as the people play it and understand it, they're playing it for life. They're lifers.
They get
right?
This
is what it is. And that's the great game that we play. And that's why we play it. And that's why my family has invested so much time and effort and money into this thing, is because we love it. And it's very important to us to show other people why we love it, and so they can love it too. And so but yeah, it's like you said, it's the experience. And as long as people can really capitalize on putting on a good show for people and a good facility, man, you'll see these regions really, really grow. There's a lot of fields I'm seeing put steps in the right direction for it, and I just can't wait. Obviously, it takes time. It took us 10 years to get here, so it is taking time. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So but like as time goes, man, we're gonna come back in, I think, 10 years and have the same conversation, but we're gonna be saying that states that nobody's ever even heard of. Like, man, these guys are coming out of all of these different states, and I truly feel that way. I really, really do. It's just seeing all of those things. It really, as long as the right people are in those things, and like as long as they're adopting those little steps, man, it's gonna be
keep
powerful.
thriving.
Totally agree, man. Yeah, let's kind of round out the conversation with the finals. Obviously, from a player perspective, understand how you feel about the format. What about a spectator perspective? I don't know if you've even gone back and watched the game yet, but what do you think of the league trying to make that shift? I know from a viewer perspective, I've watched it twice now. We watched it together with the team, and then I watched it again this morning to kind of just get some snippets. But I loved the halftime show. I thought it was so cool to be able to have Maddie and Mike sit there and talk about, you know, what had happened leading up to that match on Sunday, and show instant replays of some big moves. You have got the score in your mind. You're like anticipating the second half, and, you know, some superstars and heroes are kind of being built and created right in front of you in that 8 minutes. What did you think of the format change?
I think it is a necessary change if we want people to watch paintball. People will play paintball, but to get people to watch paintball, they need more time to understand paintball. Because in my mind, what happens is, like, if I go, I'm not really a big sports guy other than paintball, right? I follow along loosely, but like, if I go in and I introduce somebody to the NFL, I'm like, hey, watch this game. They're going to watch NFL. And if they have no idea what the hell it is, they're going to watch. And then what's going to happen is those commentators are going to explain, and they're going to draw the lines, and they're going to explain what's happening in those games. And the people are going to be able to watch, and those instant replays are going to happen, and they're going to be able to comprehend what's going on in the game until they can actually understand what's happening in the game. And that's what's so hard about paintball, is there's so much going on. There's not just one football to pay attention to. There's 5-10 guys shooting 10 balls a second all the time, and you have no idea what they're shooting at because the cameras can't quite pick it up. And it's so chaotic that they're just like, it's so mind-blowing to them. But if you get the time to do the replays, like you said, and give Maddie the information and the resources to do that, whoever he's even with, it doesn't even matter. I felt, and by the way, I feel like, what's his name? Mike Jeffrey.
Yep.
the guy that was with him.
Yep.
Fantastic job. He talks about paintball. Fantastic job. I'll give him all the credit in the world. I felt like he did a really good job, and it was good to listen to because he was talking about the information of the game and putting names to those jobs. And like you said, if like the time to give those commentators to build a story and to explain how things are breaking down, the more time we can give them, I think the better the show is going to be, because what's going to happen is people are going to be able to watch it and people are going to be able to understand it. And then when they understand it, now they can follow more. And that's what gives them the bug. So then they want to watch more because now they can understand it more. Like showing my grandparents, showing my mom and dad, my actual mom and dad paintball, completely lost. I have to walk. I have to go to their house and I have to go break it down for them and explain what's going on. And then they start, they understand it and they pick it up, but completely lost if it's that they just know that I'm winning or I'm losing. That's pretty much about it.
Right.
That's
right.
But that's the problem.
And really sometimes that's even hard to follow.
Yeah. And that's truly the problem, is because we need to gear the show a little bit more and give them the resources a little bit more to explain what the hell is going on and kind of sift through the chaos a little bit and keep them on track about what's happening in the game or the storyline of leading up to the game. Because I agree with you, and you always say it on the show, is you need the stories and you need the heroes, you need the villains of the stories of like what's going to happen in the battle. It's just like any story ever. If you ever pick up a book and read the story, there's always going to be a villain. There's always going to be a hero. You need both of those guys to create a story. If you don't have either of those guys, there is no story and you're just reading words. That's it. And so like
mic drop, baby.
Yeah. You need to be able to create those people in there to get people interested. It's the same, like it's the same as anything.
That's even with football. Like a lot of people don't play football or don't play basketball, but there's these storylines. There's these people who are super engaging that hype these things up. And even when you're watching the football or the NBA, they take you along on the journey and completely outline exactly what you need to be seeing in detailed fashion so that you can become a fan. And then, like you said, understand it on your own as you go.
Right. And a lot of it too is it also is not just Go Sports, and it's not just Maddie, and it's not just the show. It is the player's job as well to create their own stories. Because if we can create content, and I'll tell you why. When I was growing up, Steph Curry was in high school, right? He's the same age as me, I'm pretty sure. And he was in high school. My brother was literally telling me like, yo, this dude is dope. Like my brother is a fucking huge sports fanatic. He's like telling me all the stats, all the stuff. He's telling me all these things. And I didn't really care about it, but he's watching it. So I'll watch it a little bit, right? Because he's so excited about it. And he's like, yo, this dude is cold. And I'm like, so I'm watching it. And then my buddy Rhino, he's best friend of my best friends ever since childhood. He even said to me like, yo, you need to watch this guy. He's going to be great. And this was before Steph Curry was anything. And so then I'm following this story and I'm watching this guy, this little guy playing basketball. And I'm like, this little guy is not going to do well in basketball. And then I watch him and I say little, he's my height.
Yeah. I was going to say
but this little guy compared to basketball, he's not going to do well. But there's this story. But the reason why there's a story is because there was media on him in high school. There was footage of this kid playing. And I could follow it. And I'm like, whoa. And so I'm watching it. Now, yeah, it's not the best of footage ever, but it's something. It's creating. And guess what? It created a fan. I've been a fan of Steph Curry since his beginning. And that was before he was even great. So then watching him just accomplish and change the game of basketball completely was amazing to me, because I was able to follow him since the beginning. And I was able to follow him on his journey, and seeing how he came into basketball and seeing his success and seeing how the whole meta of basketball changed around one dude and the way he could play basketball, the way he could do things. And right. And like, you need those stories. Now, no, not every story is going to be like Steph Curry. Not every story is going to be like that, but you need the content, and you need just a content overload. Individuals, you have to create your own stories. You have to create your own content. Ronnie Dizon does a great job of it. Cyrus, obviously, we found Cyrus off of his social media and him coming to play a paintball and stuff like that with us.
Yeah, dude, Cyrus,
I met him at WCPPLs, right? Like he marketed it himself, but like those opportunities and those storylines aren't told if you don't post. You have to. We need to be pushing content out there. and then getting better as an individual and everything else. But like, it's also a player's job to put content out and create stories, because if we want paintball to be huge, we need to create those stories and get people hooked. We need to get people following you. It doesn't matter if it's just 5 people, but guess what? 5 people you just created as a fan that are watching paintball more and more because you're doing it.
And sharing. Yeah. And they're going to be out there talking
and they're going to tell about somebody, right? It's just like my brother. When my brother found Steph Curry, guess what? He told me about it. And then I became a lifelong fan of Steph Curry. I would have never have followed basketball if that was the case. And it's just a really, really important job, I feel like, for
it ripples.
For everybody.
It ripples out, and it's massive. And shout out to Cyrus. He's been a part of the PTG fam since before he ever went pro. You know, we've been following him, and super proud of that kid, man. He's really passionate and hungry paintball player. And talk about branding, you know, he's got the hat, he's got the look, you know, he's one of those characters that you want to latch onto, and we need more of that. Lots more.
Right. And like, to everybody that's like listening to this and being like, man, I just don't have that fling. I don't have that character, and I don't want to go out of my comfort zone to create just this facade. You don't need to create a facade. You just need to be yourself.
Yeah.
You just be yourself, and trust me, people will be fans of it. I've always played paintball just as myself. I've done nothing fantastic. I don't do anything crazy. I don't post anything ridiculous. I have just been myself, and then that's just how it is, and that's just how it needs to be.
Dude, your brand is skin in the game, boy. You got that.
Skin in the game. Yeah.
Your brand is skin in the game, brother.
Oh, God damn it, Tyler.
No headband gang.
Yeah, to all those that didn't know, Alex Frazee comes up to me at the Summit Awards, and he goes, so what is it going to take to put a Hormesis headband on your forehead? And I was like, oh, man, I don't know. And then Tyler literally just comes in out of nowhere and goes, that's what you call skin in the game.
Bro, my boy is out there risking his forehead every single point. And dude, honestly, it's more efficient. I was like, he's ahead of the curve. He's shaving the ounces off the race car. You know what I'm saying? No headband. He's ready to go.
I know. And I'm probably going to be the only person that does it. But now I'll tell you the backstory on it. Like, I started paintball. And of course, how everybody starts paintball, you've got some like couple dudes like, yo, you need a beanie, you need a headband, you need this, you need that. You got to look cool, right? You got to look ag or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, starting paintball, sure, I'll wear this. I put it on, and I'm like, man, this thing's fucking uncomfortable. And so like, I'm playing it, and then like I'm playing on it and stuff like that. I go like my first season playing with a headband. I'm like, okay, like I guess this is just an unnecessary evil. And then one time I forget it, and I forget my headband, and then I play with a tournament without it, and I'm like, man, this is nice. I was like, this is way better. And I'm probably the only one that'll ever think that way, and that's fine with me. But
you got the hair. You have the hair protection too. You got some hair protection.
Yeah, I got the flow, unless I don't fix it. So then it just shows my big ass forehead. So I always got to be keeping track of the hair. But
I love it.
Yo, how does sweat not drip into the inside of your lens though?
You know, everybody asks me that same question. I don't know. It just never has, and it's never been a problem. It just never. And I sweat like a motherfucker. So it just never has. It's never bothered me, and that's why I never wore it, because a lot of people were saying the same thing, like, dude, it's for the sweat. And I'm like, oh, I mean, the sweat's not bothering me. So why?
You're like, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good.
and that's just how I addressed it. I know people always on me, be like, dude, you need a fucking headband on that head.
Bro, when you're a world champ and you got some MVPs, you get to do whatever the hell you want. So watch the amount of people that are going to ditch their headbands now. These headband companies are going to go out of business now because of you.
I mean, that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, well, if I don't wear a headband and I still win, what am I now? I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Trendsetter. That's what you are.
Yeah. People tell me that, like, hey, you need to wear all this stuff to be successful. I'm like, no, I don't.
You're Gucci.
That's too funny.
So for the finals, when did you guys know you had it in the bag? Let's round out that finals match after halftime. What was going through you guys' head, and kind of tail that out?
So when we stole the point from them in the first half, as soon as we stole the point from them, I felt the change, and I could look at their body language. And a lot of people's body language, they sell it real bad of what they're feeling inside. And so I just knew, I could see it. And like, not talking shit on Greenspan by any means, but I could even see it on Greenspan. He was frustrated, and I was like, okay, this is like, as long as we keep playing what we're playing, we'll be just fine. And like, in that, like, that's what instilled confidence in me. Now, I don't know for the rest of the guys, but I basically just told them that, like, in the pits, I just like, hey, we're here to win. We've always won by doing what we needed to do. And this is what we're going to do, is we're going to win, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to continue to win, because this is like, we're playing what we need to play, and we know what we need to accomplish. And as long as we keep accomplishing everything, we don't get in our heads and try to do kind of, dumb shit, to be honest with you, we'll be all right in those situations. Even if shit goes south, where they throw kind of a wrench in the plans and they kind of do something a little unorthodox, I felt like we were still in control of those things because of the spots we were on the field. And like the personnel that we had, I felt very confident that we were going to be okay. And like, just taking that momentum out of those guys, it's the same story as the impact at World Cup. When we won that first point, you could see the body language. You win the second point, it's game over. There was no doubt in my mind going into the overtime. And no offense to those guys, because I literally grew up watching the Impact series because of the Yakamax, right? They were brothers. They had the cousin Oymet who played, and then their dad Bart owns the team. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, but the team, their team was built on family, and that was such a fantastic thing, because they put a story out there that we could relate to, and it was so amazing to us. And so, like, we've always been Impact fans. Like, it was such a cool thing to be able to play those guys. And like I said, no offense to them, but when I saw their body language, I knew it was game over, right? And you can just, a lot of it it's just the telltale signs for me in general. A lot of people, there's like, they go through differently, like especially on the team, they have like their own thing of like, oh yeah, we've got this. But for me, reading body language is everything, especially on the break. I mean, fucking Harrison Price sold it like sold himself every point. That's why I was able to connect. And I'm not talking shit to you, Harry. I love you, buddy. But just being able to read and like showing the signs and understanding how just humans in general are, that's a big key of it, is just like,
the details. Yeah, it's all about those little details. And you guys were able to connect on Arturo quite a bit as well off the break. You took him completely out of the game for a large portion of that game. He was able to survive a couple of those situations, but predominantly you guys were hammering that side as well.
Right. Yeah. And that was a big step up for Jacob Seaball, right? Because, when you lose Colt Lukow, that's a big hit, right? Colt Lukow, sure. Everybody talks about, right? But Paintball Fit, oh, Colt Lukow is going to shoot you on the break, right? Colt Lukow this, Colt Lukow that. That's just who he is. He's
a beast. He's doing great,
dog out there. He's going to shoot people on the break. He's the best off the break shooter in the league, hands down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, in my opinion. I know. I see you, Marcelo. I see you. But
we're gonna have to have an off the break shoot off.
Yeah. But in my opinion, and no, I'm not just saying that because he's my little brother, but I'm saying that because he is, and he's
very talented.
He's changed the game for a lot of people, and understanding that you don't have to be an Alex Goldman to be great at paintball. And I use Alex Goldman because, right, he's physically fit. He's great at playing the snake. He's obviously super fast, right? He has these athletic gifts and talents. But then you look at Colt Lukow, and he's still be able to have success in those things. And you look at the rest of us, right? I'm not fucking fit. I don't work out or anything like that. I just am what I am. And like, we are showing, and I feel like I hope we inspire more people to understand that the game of paintball can be played even if you're not at the tip top physical shape. Now, sure, of course it fucking helps. Yes, of course it helps to be fit and fast and all of this stuff. But the gun is the gun, and you're not going to outrun a paintball, brother.
You can't outrun a paintball. Exactly. The mind is so powerful, and you cannot outrun a paintball. I love that. I do also love that your guys' name is Paintball Fit, though.
I know. And like, it's just the acronym, right? It's Family Integrated Team, and like that's why we did it. And like the branding of it and everything else, it's just a lot easier to say it is Paintball Fit instead of any kind of other name. Like, that's just.
Well, that's the beauty.
That's fucking super cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. I just learned something new there.
Yeah.
Family team. That's dope.
So it's not fitness like everybody thinks, because they look at us and they go, well, they're not very fit. It's more like paintball fat. But
no, man, no way,
I'm just
dude.
reading the comments out there, baby. I know what they say.
But what we're talking about is the beauty of what we get to do. Is, like you said, the gun is the great equalizer. I don't care who you are. If you put the time in, if you care enough, you can go out there and be a world champion. And that is an inspiration to the world. You guys are truly an inspiration to the world and to the pro paintball community as a whole, man. So keep doing what you guys are doing out there, because it really is shining bright for everybody. And yeah, that finals game, man, it was crazy. And you guys kind of ran away with it at the end there. There was, they tried fighting back, but it was pretty much a done deal almost halfway through that last half of the game.
Yeah, and I felt like I was finding my groove on the shot too for Harry, and just being able to hold that side. When in the impact match, I was only able to, I think, only capitalize on shooting Brendan Cornell. Maybe I think it was twice, maybe just once. But
yes, twice.
He was showing the same thing as Harry, and so like it was a little bit frustrating to not shoot Brandon Cornell, but like it is what it is. Sometimes you're just gonna miss it, and that was such a hard shot for the interior spot to do. No, I'm not hyping myself up here.
No, that was definitely a really difficult shot, and I thought it was going to be one of the more important ones of the event, because I also thought the Dorito side was very powerful if you can get wide over there. So if you could take the other players, attacker, or often they're 2 off the field early, that was a massive kill. And for the listeners that might not understand what you're looking for, and I could be wrong, but often the shooters are looking for little tells that the runners do. Like sometimes if a player, and you can pick up, each player's a little different. A player might act like they're in a running stance, but that means they're going short. Or they might line up like they're in a shooting stance and they're 2 feet off the box instead of 1 feet. And I don't mean their barrel, I mean their actual feet, because they want to get that extra step. Mm-hmm. That means they're running wide. These are the little details that really good high-level shooters are looking for. So if you do your homework and you scout good enough, you can kind of pick up on these things, and so it's something to be mindful of if you're a runner. And it's also something to be mindful of, obviously, if you're a shooter for the other team.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of it too is like you have to do your homework. You have to watch not just what you're playing in front of you. You have to watch what their tendencies are in the games as they're playing the event, right? And like you have to see how their body language is and how they do things when they're about to release. And sometimes sometimes it's harder to get. You just have to guess. But you can play probability on it too, right? If that guy never ran to the far spot and he's showing he's going to run to the far spot, he's not going to run to the far spot, right? And like it just is what it is. And like you can put statistics into it, but you have to find those variables and those probabilities for those guys as an off the break shooter. And like those are the things you just have to do your homework. You have to look at the guy. You have to watch the guy you're shooting at, not just the game, but the guy that you're trying to shoot off the break. And like that'll be a crucial thing for these divisional players, is like that you may not have footage, but you're there at the field. You need to be there. If they're playing, you need to be watching.
100%. Right. Coming up, we didn't have footage, and Mike Hinman had us, on Aftermath. We were at the field all day long watching all the teams that we would be playing, and even more so the teams that we knew we would continuously see on Sunday. So we would scout every little detail from these teams, and Mike made sure that we were there in person watching, knowing, your position, knowing what, if you're a shooter, make sure you know how to shoot the runners on the other side. Like we were learning this stuff, in Division 3, which at the time was the lowest division there was. And, it's important to start building that understanding as a player early. Scouting is such a big part of any team success. It's a huge part of my on-field success. And you also kind of mentioned how players act mid-game. Like just a generic example is, if we play fit and we shoot Chavi, how likely are you to fill right away? Do you fill right away or do you wait? These little details, they help you make quick secondary reactions, so if we shoot the wide, then we know to pull really quickly to shoot the fill. If you don't fill, then we can look a different direction. Like these are the kinds of things that you want to be looking for.
Yeah, speaking of the fields, that's why I was so frustrated for fucking Tyler out there. He's got a goddamn lightning bolt across the field. Yeah. I shoot BC and I immediately flick and he's already right under it. I go, you motherfucker.
And I even talked to Marcelo about that like Sunday night, because there was those couple times where I was like, it was hairy. If I didn't get under that stream, and you had it dialed too, to where it was like, it could have been even worse. But that's where that homework comes in. All these details that we're talking about. Got to make sure we're doing the hard work on and off the field.
Right. And like, and looking at the field too, is like, you have to understand probability wise, if they don't do this, they're going to lose. So naturally somebody's going to freak out and have to do this thing. So like the probability of somebody filling out quickly on a side that's dangerous is really, really high. So shooting a guy and then turning and talking is not important. Shooting a guy and flicking to hold a zone is the most important, right?
That's right.
And like you have to, as a player, have to understand that and like really, really emphasize that. Like it's actually more important to shoot the guy and hold the zone and not say a word. If you can't, sometimes like if people like lower divisionals will struggle with that, it's better to shoot the zone and catch the second guy. Because guess what? After you shoot the second guy, now you can say, hey, I just killed 2 dudes over here instead of just the one. But if you go and you shoot the guy and then you turn and that guy fills and one you don't see, all of a sudden shoots another guy and then you, that's where the game has changed.
That's a disaster. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
It's just a complete disaster. So it's more important to do the job and then get the information as you're trying to fill it out. But I would honestly argue that it's better to do the job than get the information out immediately.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree with that. You know, again, I believe the biggest advantage you could have on a field is being wide and the other team not. So often if you get that kill, it's their wide, their attacker that we're talking about. You're trying to catch the 2 filling out. So now you want to contain that. That's more important than almost anything else. You'll eventually get that information out. You do want to get it out. You should try to say it while you're holding your zone. But like if your team can't hear you, do your job first and you know, make sure you manage that containment until, I don't know, somebody else takes it over or you catch that second body. Then you could get that information out a little more clearly.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Wait, so Trenton, how old are you? So you're like 36, 37? I don't know. I don't know how old Steph is.
Hey,
well, you said you're as old as Steph Curry.
No, he's not that old, is he?
I think he's 36.
35. Yeah, I think he's 35 or 36.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong then. No, I thought he was the same age as me. No, I'm only 29.
Oh, okay. See, I thought you were younger too. I thought you were in your 20s. Let's find out how old is
Gonna be 30 here. Coming up on it.
Yeah.
Steph is 36. Okay, yeah. I was like, when you said that, I was like, damn, you're older than me. That's crazy.
No. Yeah. Sorry, I was wrong on that one then.
Okay, so 29. So been playing since about 19 years old. What did you do before that? You said you weren't really big into sports. You didn't play any other sports growing up. What was it like as a young Trenton Mason?
Well, so naturally I did play just sports in general. Like I played football and I was growing up. I wasn't really into it that much. And then I played basketball a little bit, wasn't into that, played soccer a little bit, played baseball. I just played all of these different sports, didn't really get the bug per se on any of the sports. Yeah, they were fun to play because they were competitive and I'm just competitive. Like I have a competitive nature about me. So like they were just fun to do it, but not something that I would want to do full time per se. You know what I mean? It was just, there wasn't that drive. And so growing up too, I couldn't afford to play paintball, but the Lucaus, JD and Johnny were playing way back when Johnny was little. So they've always been playing paintball ever since I was just a baby. JD was playing paintball before that. So paintball was always around the family, but it was just like, hey, Uncle JD's playing paintball. And that was just that. And like seeing, like growing up and JD having a big hand in raising me whenever I was growing up, JD and Sarah, that's why I call them mom and dad. Like they had a big hand in raising me and creating the person that I am today. They like seeing them play paintball. It was a really cool thing, but I couldn't afford to play it because of course paintball is expensive. So I never played it. Graduated high school, kind of just playing sports, but just, it is what it is. Started out, I'm a welder. So like working just straight out of high school, getting money to be able to play paintball pretty much. And then, so I started working for a little bit there. And then that's when JD, Johnny, like, hey, call me to the house, go over to there. We talking about it for a little bit. And we're like, hey, like we have this opportunity to create a paintball field. And like, we want to be able to all play together. Cause I hadn't played paintball before that. Like I had maybe played like one time at a speedball field with them. I had like a Tippmann 98. I remember I had
go
die barrel on it. And like, I'm playing against people that had all the other, like, I think it was the DM40. No, not DM.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The Die Matrix.
Yeah. Whichever one they had at that time.
Yeah. And so like I'm playing against those guys with a little Tippmann. I smoke a couple dudes and I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. Like, you know what I mean? And like, and so like playing those things and like those are how I got the bug. And it was really, I was just into paintball because my family did it. JD and Johnny, like the people that I looked up to that were really raising me, like this was something that they were super passionate about. So like that passion kind of bled into me a little bit. And so like getting into paintball was a kind of swayed by them. But then as I started playing it, I caught the bug, right? I fully understood it. And like, that's why I kind of like I worked. They come and give me the opportunity. They're like, hey, let's build this field. Let's do this thing. Like, let's do it. And they're like, well, we can't afford for all of us to not do it. So like I stayed working for the first couple of years of Paintball Fit. And then finally we got to a spot to where I could be there full time. And so then I stopped working there. We opened up a couple of different businesses on the side, but just at Paintball Fit. And then we've just been going from there. But that's kind of how it started as a young age, is like just playing sports as it is. And then once I got to 19, we literally just hit the ground running. I was like, since Johnny and Birdie Lukow were D3, my first ever tournament was a D4 tournament because they couldn't play D5 with us.
Nice.
Got thrown to the wolves real quick. Me and Colt Lukow both. And
that's the only way. That's the only way.
It is the only way. So like we played, our first tournament, I don't think we won a single point. I'm I'm like 99% sure we didn't win a single point out of all.
Still had fun.
I was grinning. I was happy. Obviously I'm competitive, so I wasn't that happy. Like I still want to be able to be good at the thing. And like, that's just how we are in general. Like, of course, you'll see probably videos of me and Colt yelling at each other or something like that. We're brothers. So like, that's just is what it is. We're going to always butt heads. We're always going to fight. We're always going to do this or do that, say this or say that. But at the end of the day, we're family, and we're only trying to do it because we actually care. It's not because we're just assholes and like, oh, I fucking hate that guy. It's because I care enough, and I care enough to want to care about you. And I'm upset that you're not doing something, because we need to get better as a whole, because your success, my success is based off of your success. So if if you're not being successful, you're hindering my success. And like we just constantly keep pushing each other to get better, because like I said, this is a team sport. And that's kind of what got the bug for me, is like, I get to do something. It's kind of like video games where you get to, you bring in all your homies to the lobbies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are the best games. When you're playing single player games, that's cool and all. Like you have the stories, and it's like a nice little mind, like you go away, right? It's kind of like a mind numbing thing. But like when you play video games with your friends and you get all the, like, bring them all in, you're in the lobby, you're talking shit, you're talking to each other, and you're playing games with each other. That's why video games are a thing. That's why they're so popular, is because you kind of have that community where you're playing with each other. And so like paintball to me was like kind of like more like the video games, because it was that intense action, fast paced stuff that we had grown up doing. And
it's so good for you, like on the mental, the physical. It's just it's a great game in that regard as well, man.
Right. And that's kind of why that's why it bit me like the hardest, is I was just like, dude, this is sick. This is like the best iteration ever of anything, right? You can't like, this is the greatest game to ever be like conceived. I don't understand why more people like don't feel this way. Like it blows my mind sometimes. And people are like, like I get when people are like, I don't like paintball because like they just didn't have a good experience. But when they play it and like fully play it, I've never had a single conversation, I don't think, with anybody who hasn't had a good experience that says, yeah, I just don't like paintball. Same. I've never had that conversation. As soon as somebody has, like you said, like Marcel always says on all the podcasts, if you can give the good experience, those bugs are going to, like, people are going to bite those, like the bug is going to bite the guy, and they're lifers.
For sure.
Like, it just, and like lifers don't mean that they have to go to the NXL, play all 5 NXLs, fly out to all this stuff, spend all this money. No. They can just go to their local leagues. They're playing paintball. They're having fun. They're doing all these things. They're just playing paintball in a competitive nature. And that's what's fun about paintball. Yeah. There's so many different things you can do with it.
Yeah. So I got the world wants to know, how's Colt doing? Is he doing okay? Is his knee, what's going on?
So we got the initial results from the doctor. So the initial results are that he did tear his ACL. So
he did.
He did tear it. Yeah.
Okay,
so the original doctor.
Is this from the MRI?
Yeah, from the MRI.
Okay. Yeah,
so the original doctor said he didn't, which was terrible advice, and told him to walk on it. And so that was fucked. But
so that's real. I don't know if he told you, but I reached out to Colt right away because he was, walking around. I was like, listen, I don't care what the doctor told you. If he tells you it's a sprain or whatnot, demand an MRI, because the same thing happened to me when I tore my ACL. I went to the doctor and he said, definitely not a tear. He said it was a sprain. And so I tried to get ready for World Cup for 2 weeks on it. I was icing it and doing some rehab stuff, and it just wasn't getting better. And so I went back, obviously didn't play World Cup. This is back in 2010. Right. Went back, got the MRI, and it was completely torn. And when I went to a sports therapist, and he was like, yeah, well, when you initially do the injury, there's so much swelling that the test isn't accurate where they're trying to pull stuff. So you need an MRI. And I was like, Colt, just be careful, dude. Make sure you're not walking on it. Definitely don't try to play. Like, just get the MRI, because you will heal up if you do this the right way, but don't take that bad advice, man.
Right. We because of it, we had to find an MRI place. We finally found an MRI place that would do it on the, I believe it was a Saturday, and, finally got the MRI done, got the results. He just got the phone call yesterday before we flew out. So obviously that kind of hit him real hard. He has to go to a specialist. He has a specialist. I think it's today or tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. He's going to an actual specialist, and then they're going to break it down with him to get the 100%. This is what it is. This is what we need to do type deal. But the original, as of now, the original readings of it is he did tear his ACL, and he did bruise the shit out of his meniscus, is what they said.
Well, we're sending all the good energy and all the support his way, man. We want to see that guy back out on the field as soon as possible. So definitely, send our love to him. And if you listen to this, dude, we're rooting for you, brother.
No, yeah, and in my opinion, is paintball needs him, and so and that's what I told him to do, right? And not just because I'm trying to cheer him up because he's my brother, right? No. I don't like to see him down, or I don't like to see him hurt or anything like that, and it pains me, right? It hurts me to see that, but paintball needs Colt Lucal, and yes, I'm saying it because he's fat. It's because they need him, because it shows, but not because he's just big, but because he's so good at paintball with his size that it shows that anyone can play this game. Yeah. Anybody can play it at a high level, and that's what we need, because we're not cornering it off. It's not like the NFL, where you go to the NFL, there's only certain body types that are going to be able to play the NFL. Totally. Everybody else, good fucking luck. The basketball, certain body types, good fucking luck. No, you're not going to be able to play it. Even soccer, you got to have a certain body type. You got to have a certain athleticism. So Colt Lucal is such a big part of paintball, in my opinion. And like I said, again, I'm not saying that just because he's my little brother. I'm saying that because it's so important to the game of paintball for players like him and players to have success, because it inspires people. It inspires people to play paintball, no matter who they are. And if we can get more people to play paintball, we're in a better spot, right? We're going to continue to grow. And we're the only sport that can tap into any and every demographic of everywhere. We have youth who's killing it. The youth scene is just growing tremendously. Even
there's players that could whoop the shit out of 30-year-olds, that doesn't happen in other sports because of the physicality, right? It's a very physical sport, but again, can't outrun a paintball, and it's a game of the mind, and fundamentals, so it's
right. And you have the youth, you have women's division. Yes, the NBA has a WNBA, stuff like that, but they're roughly, soccer has, women's soccer, but paintball, you have where women, kids, I'm going to call you old men, but old men can play paintball. Not you guys, but I'm saying,
hey, watch it.
A good spot for that. No, I'm pretty much the same age as you guys, anyways. But Dynasty, right? Greenspan is in his high 40s,
50s. Yeah, he's 50
whatever,
I think.
Whatever that is. But because those guys are still playing paintball and at a successful rate, it's showing that you can continue to play this game, and that is what's truly special about this game is having the availability to do that. The availability to have whatever you want to do. If you're getting older and you want to do something with your son, you can do that. You can play paintball with your kids. You can play paintball with your brothers. You can play paintball with your family, with your friends. Doesn't matter who you are, what you you look like, what you're built like. You can play paintball and you can be good at it. It's a physically demanding sport, but you can still be successful at it as long as you train, as long as you're trying to get better. That's all it takes. It's literally all it takes. It's just to try to get better.
It's one of the most unique sports in the world. And in our opinion, all of us sitting here, the greatest sport in the world, because of that factor and so many other ones. The community is second to none. And we're all super lucky to be a part of it. And we're on the ground floor of it all as well. You know, we're still helping to build this whole thing. It's still a very new sport, and we got a long way to go before it's ever going to do what I know it can do. But the fact that we have this amazing game and that we can share it with the world and get anybody, literally anybody, can get involved and be successful if you put in the work and you put in the time and you care enough. And it's something that I think is going to have a huge impact on the global landscape as time rolls on into the future, man.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, brother. All right, well, let's dive into the PTG questions. We have our Discord community.
Discord. Yeah.
And I think Cyrus is even in here. He's got some questions for you. If you want to tap in and join our community, yeah, you know him. He's always showing out. If you want to be a part of it, everybody out there listening, you can go to ptgpodcast.com, click that orange Patreon link, and join us in the Discord. We've got tons of forums and chats going on in there. Paintball 7 days a week. And I guess let's just start with old Cyrus. We'll go straight to his question. He is wondering, Trent, what keeps you so motivated? Also, why are you always late?
It's funny, he showed me that question on the flight when we got home midnight last night. And I was like,
Got him.
So to answer the first part of it, like what keeps me motivated is my family, right? Obviously my brothers play, but my wife plays paintball. My wife is the coach of Dallas 5. And it is inspiring, and she inspires me to keep playing paintball and to constantly stay motivated to be good at it, because she's also being motivated to be better and to grow people. And she she instilled a new kind of motivation for me as of late. She has a all girls youth team that she's really doing, and they're having a lot of success here recently. Hadley Korsman is one of the core members of that, and she's like solely responsible for that girl to be where she's at today.
Hadley's really good. She came to the U16 tryout and she came to the combine and she got an invite to the U16 tryout. Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yeah, and she has a lot of work. I'm gonna humble her because I know she listens to this and she gets her head blown out of proportions. But I'm gonna humble her. She's got a lot of work to do. She fucks up on a lot of stuff. But the biggest thing though is like my wife it showed me that you can put energy and time into people and things like that, and there is fruition for it, and it kind of like is a newly invigorating motivation for me, not only just to play paintball, but to share and to bring it on. And so like that's why I'm working with the Hydra kids more this year. I'll be playing with them a lot in the local leagues we have here and kind of helping those kids develop. Hadley's on the team as well.
Awesome.
And like it's a really cool thing, because like me and my wife, we have a 9-year-old little girl, and like it's so cool to see such young kids being inspired to be confident and to play such a scary game, right? To kids, if you think about it, and like, no, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids aren't going to be as terrified, but like I'm seeing now a shift where such young kids as 10 years old are coming to play paintball at Paintball Fit. And that is like amazing to me. Amazing that such a young age of a kid, not only are they okay with being shot, they're shooting other people, but they're like, the biggest thing is they're okay with the pain, right? Because the pain it's just somebody flicking you with a rubber band. And as long as they understand that, it goes away like that. It's then they like seeing that mental shift. I understand how it carries into life. We're teaching these kids confidence at such a young age that when they go into life, it's giving them the keys to success at such an early age, versus where kids growing up, they kind of have to go through a little bit of hard times, or they take somebody that is experienced to like lead them the way. But like it's teaching them to be confidently engaging into like adversity. Like if they have problems in life, if they're going through hard times, if they're failing at stuff, if they are coming to play paintball, which is such a fun and hard sport, and it's a demanding sport, and it's a competitive sport, but it's a scary sport if you really think about it, not to us, but to kids. to the youth, and like to teaching them to really be able to like take over that fear and turn it into like a confidence, and seeing them go and play. Like there's this little girl that my wife is helping, and it was the coolest thing ever. She first started out, she was 11 years old. She's starting out terrified. It wouldn't look out of the bunker. She's terrified to play, terrified to get shot. Couldn't move, couldn't really. She shot maybe 3 paintballs on the field. Never would even pull the trigger of her gun, just frozen in fear. And then my wife's working with her, and then all of a sudden I go back and I watch her maybe a month later. She's literally bunkering dudes. And I'm like, wow. Right? An 11-year-old little girl who, like, in life is scary. This is a big world. A lot of scary shit is out there. And so an 11-year-old girl is like has this fear, like she thinks it's like this, like the fear of the world, pretty much in her eyes. And then all of a sudden she's like, no, fuck this. I'm gonna go fucking dunk on this dude real quick. And like it's so cool. And that's what really motivated me, right? It motivated me is like it's so cool to see that shift and that just exuding with confidence, and it's just like, I'm just going to go do this. And it was so amazing to see that, and to see my wife be able to do that, because obviously she's the love of my life. So being able to see her show other kids confidence and show other people confidence, and really she's changing people's lives. And like to see that, it was just amazing to me. And like, I never really like thought about it like that. And it's just because I just never thought about it like that. I was always focused on the guys and the team and stuff like that. And like helping like grow men with their, changing their lives. But like, man, it starts at such a younger age. We have the opportunity. Like Marcelo, you do a good job of it. You work with a lot of youth and like people growing up and stuff like that. And Tyler, I know you do too. And like Tyler, you have kids. And so like seeing those kids, your kids get that confidence and like being able to take over the world pretty much is just like, it's such a cool thing to see. And like if we can do that, I really think we're like paving the way for our daughter to kind of just do what she wants to do. And she is. Anybody that's met her, she's a wild one. She'll say what she needs to say. She doesn't care what you think.
She's a go-getter.
Damn it, she'll say what she's thinking.
Hey,
I love it, dude.
Those are the tools they take with them for the rest of their life. And paintball is such a great sport in that regard. It gives us so many tools, communication, dedication, and just, that confidence to go into the world.
Yeah. And so to answer that question, that is what motivates me.
I love it.
Yeah, no, that's a phenomenal answer. I mean, it's, you started paintball a little bit later than Tyler and myself did, but, paintball was exactly what you're referring to. It was a way for me to find my confidence and find a way of doing things to find success in other things, outside of paintball. And so that is one of the things that I absolutely love about coaching and working with the younger players, as well as watching them find themselves as young men, young women, through paintball. It's a beautiful thing. It's happening all over, and it's, an amazing, amazing part of our sport for sure. All right. We got Mark Paris. He wants to know, Trent, can you walk us through what layout prep week looks like for PB Fit and what you guys do off the field for success during this time? Congrats on going back to back.
Appreciate it. So obviously,
just like every little detail would be perfect.
Yeah. I'll break it down. I'll give it like
bottom,
minute by minute. I'll give you all the secrets, all the sauce. No, so we'll play it on the Wednesday night. We have it out, but we're open to the public on those Wednesday nights of the layouts because, as everybody knows, we have lights at our field. So we play Wednesday and Friday nights in general, and because we are open to the public, and those are like anybody can come out and play. Anybody that wants to. It's at 7 to 9. So we're at 7 to 9 on Wednesdays and Fridays. But so we start on Wednesday night, then we'll play the Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, like everybody else normally does. If you're not really playing that, you're really not setting yourself up for success there. It's just, it is what it is. You all know it. Like everybody does it. And but that is just what we have. Now, we have the advantage of playing on the Wednesday night because like we ourselves are building the layout. And then as soon as the layout's done, then we start playing on it. So that's about the only advantage. Like going into the event, sometimes we will try to see if there's any local teams out at the fields that we're flying to. Like it's great with the Russians when we go to play in Kissimmee, because usually the Russians are there at Tiki's. So at Cup, we did practice the Russians before the layout practice at the event. And those dudes are great dudes. Love them to death. They're just solid individuals and obviously solid players, just fucking fantastic players. And like the way that they run things is really cool. But so we'll if we can, we'll play a team there. If not, and it just depends on how we're feeling body wise and stuff like that. Sometimes we'll go into an event after we played practice and we're like, hey man, I'm not feeling great. Body's a little sore. I would like a day off, or I'd like this, or I'd like that. And then Johnny makes a call after that and goes, okay, well, we won't do this. We'll do this instead. And so off the field stuff, we're always together anyways. I mean, obviously the four of us, actually 6 of us are together all the time because as many people don't know, Chavi works with us, and Jacob Johnson also works with us as well at Paintball Fit. So the only, now 3 that don't technically work and with us is Cyrus, Scott Stewart, and now Jacob Seaball. But everybody else, we're normally here all the time together every single day. We only don't see each other on Mondays. Monday is the Sabbath day for us. That's our one day off. Yeah. Because as everybody knows, paintball fields, they have to be open on the weekends, so Saturdays and Sundays always. And like obviously we're practicing, so you've got to be there practicing anyways. So Monday is our day off, but then we're usually there. And like like off the field stuff, we always just go to eat and together. Don't do anything too crazy outside of that, because we're all married and kids. For me especially, like as soon as we're done with practice and I've taken care of all of my X's and O's of what I need to do at the field, I'm out of there. I gotta go see my kid because she's normally not there, so I gotta go give her a kiss because she's sitting there at home wondering where the hell I'm at. So I peace out, go see her, and then spend time with Lauren and them while I can. And then we just kind of do our thing, and it's kind of how everybody else is. Everybody's mostly married for the most part, so everybody's got their significant others.
Does the squad have a favorite food place when you guys are on the road at tournaments?
On the road, depends where we're at. Obviously, Philly, we're always trying to find anything Philly cheesesteak related. The biggest thing is like what will happen is Madison. So Madison works with the family as well. She works at the shoe repair we have, and she will look up. She's like a hardcore Yelp review addict. She'll find all the good spots and of the food and stuff like that. And then Johnny will look up food places. We'll kind of talk to people. People now kind of know our mantra. We're always looking for food. So they'll hit us up and be like, yo, you need to check this place out. You need to check this place out. Hosky actually hit us up for a Cuban spot just yesterday. We tried it. Fucking phenomenal little sandwich spot. I can't remember the name of it to save my life, but Hosky hit us up and gave us a good spot to go eat. But so we're always trying to do something new. We don't have anything like we're always going to the same spot. We're just always trying to find something new, because in our mind, when you're traveling to events, you want to go experience the things, right? If you're going to a new area, you want to experience those type of things. So like us as a family, we'll fly in a day early. Especially if it's a new place, we'll try to fly in 2 days early. If our schedules will align and we can do it. And that way we can kind of go explore the area and just what it is, just so that way we can enjoy everything we can until it's just go time at the field. Cause like we have our booths there. And so it's a job 24/7. We're up there. Me and my wife, Sarah and JD, are there till sun up to sundown doing the booth stuff and all of that stuff. And all the rest of the Lucas are there just running it. And all of our wives and significant others are all there helping. So
then you're doing what you love. Everyone's doing what they love. That's an amazing thing. And that's one of the coolest things about traveling for paintball too, is you get to experience the new cultures, new foods, new areas. So definitely diving in on that, spending some extra time, having some fun, exploring. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, we got, let's see, Osborne for this. Trent, what's your favorite non-paintball related hobby? It's paintball 7 days a week.
Yeah. No, 6 days a week. Monday's my day off.
That's right.
I don't touch paintball gun or anything paintball related on Mondays. It's funny. I think he follows the fit life stuff, or maybe he's just asking that question in general. But I play this game called Clash of Clans on my phone. I'm like hardcore into that.
Let's go.
It's just something to break my mind off. It's just a strategy game, so it makes my mind think. And it's something that doesn't require, because most games, if you've played video games or played games, it requires so much time out of your day to one, be good at it, but two, to even just play the game in general. It just requires so much time. And I think I liked Clash of Clans because there's a time buff. You can only do so much before you can't do anything until you're waiting. Because like how it is, like when you're upgrading stuff, it takes a certain amount of time. So like one upgrade will take 12 days. So like, and you only can upgrade 5 things at once. So like once you're doing those things, you can't do anything else anymore. So you kind of can just drop it. And
so it doesn't eat up too much of your time. Yeah, you're able to.
It's something that I can dive into, and it makes me think, and like it gears my brain to constantly think of like different attack strategies, and like I like how they do the game in general. I've always been a big fan of it, and like they've been really ramping up here of late. So like it's just a really cool thing for me to kind of get my mind working, but then it's not sucking all of my time away from everything else. I can spend 15 minutes of it, and then that's about it. And then I go away for most of the day. And
that's a popular game these days.
Yeah. It's like, it's been pretty big. It was really big back then. I actually didn't play it. I only started playing it probably 2 years ago. All of the rest of the guys were like hardcore into it, and our family was like ironically like super hardcore into it, and I refused to play it because they were so addicted to it. I was like, no, I'm going to get addicted to it. And then I know myself because I'm competitive as fuck. So like, I'm going to try to get really good at the damn game. And so like, I refused to play it for the longest time. And then 2 years ago, I was just like,
got him.
Like, nobody else was playing. And then like, I was like, and then Jacob Johnson, the little fucker, he got me. He's like, dude, just try it. Just download it. And I was just like, fuck it. I'll download it. And I played it. And then
got him.
It's just like paintball.
And he's hooked.
The bug bit me. Yeah.
He's hooked. Oh man, I love it. Yeah, it's a good question. Nice. I've never played the game. Maybe I'll check it out, but maybe I won't. Because I also get hooked.
It's dangerous because there's so many options and you can play it, but it is nice because there is that time cap where you can't spend too much time into it because the game just won't allow you unless you spend money. But I'm not gonna fucking spend money on the game.
No, I like that. All right, from PB the Kaizen, Trenton, what are 2 things that have helped you progress the most mentally as a player and you feel really helped your paintball IQ?
That's a good question. I think it touches back to what we were talking about earlier, that arrogance into confidence. And I'm not saying like tell yourself you're the best fucking dude out there. You're the greatest this, greatest that. It was just like I have always had mental fortitude in my. I'm going to do something, and I've always tried to accomplish that thing. And like, I refuse because like growing up, I saw a lot of different bad things in my life. And so I saw how decisions are super impactful. And like, I could see people's decisions affect other people. And so I refused to make negative decisions, and I'd always weigh out my options. But the biggest thing that I like as a little kid, I promised myself, and I basically was talking to myself. I'm like, I'm going to always tell myself I'm going to do something, and then I'm going to accomplish it. I'm going to do it. Like whatever it is, no matter how shitty it is. If I told myself I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so I've always lived my life growing up that way. And I've always like, if I don't want to do something or I do want to do something, I'm going to do it, or I'm not going to do it. And like, it's not like, oh, I have to because these people think this way or that, something like that. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And like, and that's, it started at a young age going up into it. So like that just naturally applied to paintball. I just always applied to it. I'm like, hey, I want to do this. And so I got better at it. I want to get better at this. So I did it. And it was just like, and I think the hidden secret there is to be consistent. If you're going to tell yourself to do something, constantly be consistent and do those things. It's the same as like working out. If you're going to tell yourself you're going to work out, be consistent at working out. Don't just be like, and make an excuse. Because when you make an excuse, you're just basically lying to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. You can never lie to yourself. Right. And like other people can view that you may be okay to lie to other people, but damn it, don't lie to yourself. Like that's you at the end of the day. Like you are you, and you're what controls your entire life. So if you're lying to yourself, you're fucking yourself over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's the biggest thing is like, you can never, ever lie to yourself, and you've got to tell yourself the truth. And no matter how harsh the truth is, you just got to accept that reality. And like, so I've always applied that to paintball. And for the IQ thing, it was pretty cool growing up into paintball as I was playing, because the Jacksons and TJ Danner were always at our field. And so like I would always have ideologies about the game, but I was so new at the game, I wasn't sure if it was correct. So then I would just go and either ask them questions or just listen to their conversations. And like, as everybody knew, AC Dallas was like, they were right on the cusp. And man, those guys were some of the most intelligent paintball IQ wise people to ever play the game. And they're still playing the game. They're still doing great at it. Fuzzy TJ is playing it.
Yeah.
I wish John was playing more, but now he bought 2 fields, so he's probably never going to play again. I really wish he would though, because that dude is so intelligent paintball IQ wise. It is ridiculous. And I'm giving them their kudos, because I was able to have conversations with them, and they gave me back the information. And a lot of the time it wasn't like butting into their conversations. It was just standing there and being like, I walk up and be like, hey, I'm just going to listen. Do you mind if I just listen? Like, I'm not trying to interrupt your guys' thing. I'm not trying to get into your conversations. If it's something that on paintball related, I'm just going to walk away. But if it's paintball related, can I just sit here and listen? And they were 100% okay with that. And so, when they were talking about paintball, I was able to just kind of listen, and it was kind of confirming the thoughts I already had in my head. And I go, okay, I am thinking about the game in the right way. I am doing this right. And if something they said kind of confused me, then I would speak up and be like, hey, do you mind if I interrupt? Like, why are you guys doing this? Why do you guys think this way? And like they were really cool about saying, oh, it's because X, Y, Z. And like Fuzzy is Fuzzy. Everybody thinks he's an asshole, but he just says the information straight up, and it just is what it is. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but he'll always tell you the information as it's cut and dry as it is. And that's what I really appreciated about him. And John is just like, they would feed it to me the right information. Now, sometimes it would take me back, or I'm like, well, fuck, yeah, I am thinking about it completely wrong. But they were giving me the information that I required and what I needed. And so that's what really helped my IQ, is just confirming those. And that, since it confirmed it and they were performing at a high level, it actually created confidence in myself that I knew I was on the right track and I knew what I was doing was right. And so and it was just a snowball effect after that.
Yeah, it probably gave you the confidence to keep looking for, ways to look at the game and try to, evolve your thinking and expanding, because you're right, you're on the right track.
And so it was really cool too, is like the AC Dallas guys, when they were playing, I would always go out of my way to help them in the pits. But because I was helping them in the pits, I was in the pro pits, and I would purposely be there from sunup to sundown in the pro pits. And I would listen. Yeah. I would actually be at both of your guys' games. And I would listen to you guys. When Marcelo, you were on Dynasty, I'd listen to you guys' conversations. I would just be a fly on the wall, and not be in the pit. Obviously you can't be in somebody's pit. Like, you got to get the fuck out of there. But just being on the side and just listening and watching how they played it, and listening how they broke it down, and like understanding. And then you listen to it enough, their calls. So then you can start following further on what their ideology was. And so, like, growing up in paint, listen to the greats of the game, right? The greats of having the most success in the game, and understanding how their brain was thinking. And I was like, okay, like, this is how it is. And this is how it's helping me become a better player. So if anybody out there has the opportunity to go help a pro team, do it and listen. Just don't interrupt it while they're talking, because they're talking about the game. Just listen and just shut up. Just listen and shut up. That's all you got to do. And you'll learn so much more. And if you have a question you're confused about what the hell they're talking about, obviously ask them after the match. And if they'll tell you, they'll tell you. But the most important thing is just listening to how people adjust and everything else. And in that way, it kind of confirms or helps you get a better grasp of the game in general. And so, and like you're right. I'm constantly trying to evolve and constantly trying to think of ways to improve my game and to play paintball in a different light. I know people say like, oh, we play the same style over and over and over, but I also have those ideologies of how to play otherwise. So like, that's what's helped my game in general is like when Xavi died, I'm already there and I know how to play that side. I know how to go over there and play that side. I can play it just as well as he does. And like, but having that confidence and understanding how the flow of the game works, like you constantly have to keep your brain sharp and constantly listen to everything, any part of information, even if it's a side you don't play. The snake side, I'll know the snake side. I won't play it, but I'll know it. Just like in the finals, I played the snake 1 point, like the entire event, finals point. Go in there, shoot 3 dudes. It's because I'm not like talking myself up, but it's because I have
you have to, if you're going to play that role, a 2 or a 3, you have to know the entire field. Otherwise you can't communicate effectively to your front players. You can't give them good information. You can't ask them to get into a certain spot if you don't know what can shoot them and what they can shoot, and I think that often gets overlooked with, people that play our role. Is I may not play a certain spot on the field that frequently in practice or that frequently in the event, but I do believe that I know it as well as anybody. I have to, otherwise I can't communicate the way that I need to communicate.
Right. It's like what everybody always says, Colt needs to get out of the back center. I'm like, trust me, buddy. He's putting the game more together than anybody ever realizes.
Straight up.
100%.
And like, if he's not in the back center, we're actually fucked. So I'd like him to be there.
That's hilarious, bro. Cause I fight that same battle. I'm like, look, I could get out of here, but I'm telling you, we're losing something very valuable. Like I can build the entire picture from this spot. I can see everything. I can make good reads. Like I'll get out of here, but it's not always the move.
If that's what you want, I'll do it. But I'm going to show you why it's not the move.
Well, it's all the details, man. It's all these little details, and that's kind of a full circle moment from what we talked about earlier. Is when you can start to hone in on all these little details. That's where the magic happens. And if everybody's working towards that same vision, you're going to get a lot of production out of that. And let's see, I got one more question. We got to ask the famous verb question: favorite food, favorite place to eat it.
I'll give a different answer because I know a lot of people just say like to go to a certain spot. I don't have a certain spot I like to go eat. But there's one specific meal that'll always it just resonates with me. So on JD's side, his mom had a special recipe for chili, and she made it. She just makes it delicious. She has like this own little homegrown recipe. She's got all the different things into it, and she taught Sarah before she passed away. And so Sarah can make it, and Sarah just kills it at making it. And it's always like a one-time, like she'll make it every once in a while, but that's something that's like truly special to eat, is because it also has the memories, right? It has the memories of like us being at home, grandma being there, right? Like she's just a special person and a special human being for all of us. And she was also a big part of why everybody is who they are too. And so like, having that recipe, that is my favorite food if we're just talking about it, because it's so impactful. Because when you eat food, you want, in my opinion, when you eat food, you want it to be impactful in your life. And no, I'm not saying it's gonna fucking change your whole world, but I'm saying like the taste. You need to have something that's delicious. You want to like, if I'm spending my life on Earth, I want to eat something that's gonna make me go wow, right? I don't want to eat something that's like that's okay. Yeah. Right. And like, you want to enjoy whatever it is. And that's why, like, as a family, we've always, any place we ever go to, we never really go to the same places all the time. We always go to different places to try to just explore what the hell's out there. Let's see what this food is like. People are talking big on it. Like, oh, you've got to try this. Let's try it. Let's see what's up with it.
Totally.
Like, you know what I mean? And like, that's just how we've always lived our lives in general. And like, that's just what gets us excited. So,
oh,
me and Brady Luke can talk about food forever. Like,
I'm starving. I'm so hungry. Yeah.
Same. Hell yeah, brother. Well, man, congratulations again on
congrats.
victory. Congratulations on the finals MVP. Played lights out. And thank you for joining us. I learned a lot of really cool stuff about you. It was a great conversation, and I think we need to have you on again sometime.
Yeah,
talking about what you guys are doing out there in Texas. Obviously, great for the community. You guys have great programs through all the divisions. So, thanks for spending time with us, brother.
Thanks for the invite. I appreciate you guys.
Of course, bro. You have a great one, and take care of everybody. And love to Colt. Heal up, brother. We'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Peace,
dude.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to the show. We appreciate your support more than you know. As you guys heard about midway through the episode, if you guys would like to support PTG in any way, you could head over to ptgpaintball.com. You could click the orange Patreon link and sign up at any level and get access to our Discord. The Discord is one of the most phenomenal communities in the game of paintball. We have so many different channels in there. It's great for learning. It's great for connecting, finding teams, selling equipment, whatever it is you want to do in there. We truly have it all, and we hope to see you in there. So again, head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link, and we will see you in there.